Guys, guys, guess what? Guess what?
What?
Beans!
Yes! Yo, I fucking finished. I'm so happy. Let me get the crispy. I fucking finished Rose-Tinted Memories. Isn't that crazy?
That is legendary.
This is the first, this is, I mean, okay, this is not the first fanfiction I've ever completed, but I mean, here's the thing, this is the first fanfiction out of my solo projects that I've completed. If you wanna count, Hitalia, actually that got lost and forgotten to time anyway. That's not even on the internet anymore, so no. Okay,
Nobody cares about Hitalia.
Rose-Tinted Memories is the first fanfic I have ever completed, ever. From start to finish,
Yay!
without any drama in the writing team, because the writing team was just me. So I'm patting myself on the back, and to celebrate, I am going to be doing a dramatic reading of Mother 3 Rose-Tinted Memories.
Hell yeah.
And
Yay!
Minxie's going to be listening. Azura, you can also listen to if you want.
Yay.
Static.
And you guys also have to enjoy it.
Also static.
Fucking thing.
Yeah, please excuse Minx's microphone. It's stinky, stupid. It gets staticky sometimes, so we have to like say static every time it does, because it just lets out an ear-bleeding noise. But anyways, alright.
Yeah, and
I love me some safe words.
It hurts our poor neurodivergent ears.
Yeah, our poor neurodivergent ears, we can't handle Minx's shitty-ass fucking mic. It sucks, I know. Alright, so, anyways, without further ado, this is Mother 3 Rose-Tinted Memories, Chapter 1, Homecoming. Rocky loomed over his empire, proud of what he had accomplished. He had it all. Money, power, women, but he wanted more. He wanted to make sure he stayed in power. And with that,
Jordan, I don't know what's up with this stream, but there's something wrong with the voices.
wait, what?
Something's fucking wrong. Go watch the stream. Go listen to the audio.
Hang on,
I don't
give
know
me
if it's
one
the
second.
thing or what.
What the fuck?
Give me
But
one
listen.
second. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna look.
Oh my
Hang
god.
on. Let me refresh my thing.
Jordan,
Can I?
speak again. Yeah, it's your voice specifically.
What the fuck? Okay, did I fix it?
Like for some reason it's coming out like very deep and kind of slow.
What the fuck? Okay, I fixed it. It was just its microphone.
Oh,
I guess I can't even use my professional microphone. Great. Thanks.
What the
Damn.
hell was even that?
I don't know. Great. I don't know. Cause I tried to plug in. No, cause I tried to plug in like a microphone so that people could hear me better. But I guess I can't use this microphone with OBS for some reason. I'm sorry.
Damn, that sucks so hard.
That sucks so much dick. Anyways, enough about dick.
That's
Enough about dick.
bullshit.
Okay, enough about dick. We're gonna start over.
Yes, no dick jokes. Only beans.
Only beans. Anyways. Mother 3, I'm already messed up. Mother 3, Rose-Tinted Memories. Chapter 1, Homecoming.
absolute.
Porky loomed over his empire. I'm already off to a great start. Porky loomed over his empire, proud of what he had accomplished. He had it all: money, power, women. But he wanted more. He wanted to make sure he stayed in power. And with the Thornton family visiting Tasmania to see some old friends of theirs, he had just what he needed. The Thornton bloodline as a whole was regarded as the best PSI healers the world has ever seen. So Porky had his sights set on their daughter, Rosella. Rosella was already a prodigy in her own right, and her healing abilities had already surpassed those before her. And he had to admit, she was quite pretty. He promised her parents he'd spare her if they worked for him, but he made a phone call, and Pierre Thornton picked up the phone. Hold on, I'm gonna reread that from the beginning, because my mouth is not mouthing correctly. Let's try this again. Because I feel like I could do better.
Yep.
Okay. Porky loomed over his empire, proud of what he had accomplished. He had it all: money, power, women. But he wanted more. God damn it, why am I fucking stuttering so much?
I don't know.
Why am I... Okay, let's try this again. Take 3.
We're doing
Take 4,
take
take 5,
3.
I don't know what take it is, but... Porky loomed over his empire, proud of what he had accomplished. He had it all: money, power, women. But he wanted more. He wanted to make sure he stayed in power. And with the Thornton family visiting Tasmania to see some old friends of theirs, he had just what he needed. The Thornton bloodline as a whole was regarded as the best PSI healers the world has ever seen. So Porky had his sights set on their daughter, Rosella. Rosella was already a prodigy in her own right, and her healing abilities had already surpassed those before her. And he had to admit, she was quite pretty. He promised her parents he'd spare her if they worked for him, but he made a phone call, and Pierre Thornton picked up the phone. "Bonjour, sir," he greeted. "You know that vacation I approved you for?" Porky told him. "Yes, sir." "I've changed my mind," Porky said, smirking from the other side of the phone. Pierre's face went pale. "Excuse me?" "I've decided to station you and the missus in Tasmily permanently," Porky admitted. Pierre's eyes widened. "Oh?" Porky smirked. "You'll be working from home a lot more." Pierre was a bit suspicious about this, but he couldn't say no to the king. "Yes, sir. Bianca and Rosella are packing as we speak." "Excellent!" Porky laughed and hung up the phone. "Sorry, Pierre. You and your wife have done so much for me, but it will never be enough. Not without her." He then called for his right-hand man, the ruthless commander of the pig masks, the masked man. "Masked man, report to my office at once!" The human chimera showed up almost immediately and took a knee. "You called, your majesty." Porky handed him a picture of Rosella that he stole from Pierre's office. "I have a person of interest I need you to capture. Bring her back to me alive, got it?" The masked man's eyes widened as he looked at the picture. The girl in the picture looked so familiar to him. But alas. "Masked man?" The masked man immediately snapped out of his thoughts. Porky smirked at him. "It isn't like you to doze off like that. You gawking at my newest prize? Got the hots for her too?" His face turned a bit red, but he knew better than to protest his master. "I'm going to change that." We're just going to ignore that I had a typo even though I finished this fucking story. Dismiss. Okay. We're just going to ignore the fact that I fucked up already. We're just gonna we're just gonna shush. Hello, the troll. Welcome to a dramatic reading Love your profile picture.
Oh wait, is that a Gaston?
It is Gaston. This is funny because Gaston this is funny because future project that I'm not going to announce just yet. Love Benjamatic and love your writing. Oh my god, thank you. You're here to troll. Oh shit. Have fun. You're probably gonna be the only person in the chat right now, but have fun. Let me. Yeah. Oh.
Here's purgatory. Cheers.
Okay, well now the troll is not the only person in the chat. Thanks for making me a fucking liar. You guys are great friends. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I mean, we are keeping an eye on shit for you.
Aw, thank you. You guys are so sweet. Yes, they are very interesting. So Vivi is my Vivi is like a mom friend to me, and then Azura's my crush. Mhm. Masked Man Boom Boom, he's a high avocado. We need to protect Jordan from stinky people.
Is that not what we are here for? Is that not what we are put on this earth to do? Is that not it?
I mean,
Right.
I mean,
Azura, ooh.
yeah, I know. We're like so smitten with each
Oh
other.
my god, Azura is the bad bitch Jordan got by being autistic.
It's mutual autistic Riz, though.
It is.
We're both autistic.
I think cause I feel like all three of us are autistic at this point. We're all autistic
We
down
are.
here.
I'm
We're
pretty
all
sure.
autistic down here. Let me
I'm pretty sure. Expect us to interrupt each other because we do that a lot.
We do.
Seriously, we don't know when to wait for our turns.
We don't. Where the fuck is that error that I wanted to fix? You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna continue the reading. We're just gonna continue.
Mistakes were never made. Act like mistakes never happened. That's how you fix your mistakes.
Plazella's too perfect for mistakes. Rose-Tinted Memories is fine the way it is. It's perfect and awesome. And it is an amazing fanfic. It's the bestest
I'm
fan.
aware.
It's the bestest fanfic. Okay. Adios, Mr. Troll. Or
Okay, see ya.
troll person. I don't know what your gender is, but goodbye, the troll. We'll see you soon. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. You called, Your Majesty? Okay, yeah, I got it. Okay. His face turned a bit red, but he knew better not to protest his master. Master, I'm so great. I'm off to an amazing start.
Okay.
His I'm unsure. Porky raised a brow. Wow, really? Well, anyway, go kidnap her, got it? Yes, sir, the masked man answered, his cold and ruthless demeanor coming back. He rounded up some pig masks and left on his mission. Meanwhile, Rosilla had just heard the news. We're moving back to Tasmalik for good, she asked, excitedly. Ah, yes, Pierre answered her. Bianca looked just as excited. Oh, yay! We haven't seen the Lockwoods in so long. Pierre sighed. Shame it's just him and Lucas. Rosella frowned. They still haven't found Claus yet? Pierre and Bianca looked at each other and sighed. Not yet, sweetie, Pierre answered solemnly. But he's still alive. Pierre, sweetie, can you come help me load the car? Bianca told him, seemingly trying to change the subject. Pierre nodded. Coming, darling. Rosella sighed and finished packing her stuff. I hope I get to see you soon, Claus. The drive to Tasmally was gorgeous. The sky was blue. Oh my god, excuse me. The sky was blue, the sun was out, the grass was green, birds were singing, and the sunflowers were in full bloom. It's been a few years since I've been here, Rosella said to herself, looking out the car window and smiling. I wonder how everyone's been, especially since I still can't believe she's gone, Bianca said to her husband Pierre. I know, Pierre said while driving. Tesmilly will never be the same without her. Rosella put on her earbuds. Rosella put her earbuds in and listened to the music as her mom kept driving. As the car parked at Rosella's childhood home, which was conveniently next door to the Lockwoods house, Boney smelled something. No, someone familiar getting out of the car. Boney sniffed the target. Smells like roses. Smells like Rosella. Smells like Rosella's back. Once Rosella got out of the car with her stuff, Boney immediately glommed her. He gave this absolute bean so much sweet puppy love that it could cause diabetes. Rosella gasped. Boney! Rosella excitedly pet Boney. I miss you too! Boney excitedly licked her face. Flint walked outside to see what all the commotion was about. He gave off a slight smile as he saw the Thornsons for the first time in 3 years. Good to see you three. Pierre and Bianca immediately rushed to hug Flint. We're so glad you're doing okay, Pierre told him. Well, as good as I can be, Flint sighed. Wow, how do I butcher reading my own story? Oh well, it's a cold reading. It's not supposed to be perfect. Bianca nodded solemnly. I know. I miss her too. Pierre turned to Rosella. Rosie, why don't you go find Lucas? Rosella looked to Boney. Want to help me find him? Boney wagged his tail and gave her an approving bark. Rosella giggled as Boney led her past the remains of Osuhi Castle to Hinawa's grave. Rosella stopped at the ruins. Wow, what happened here? Boney whined and nuzzled against her leg. Rosella pet him again. Meanwhile, Lucas had just put fresh flowers at Hinawa's grave. Hey, Mom, he said. I brought you these. I miss you. Boney and Rosella made it to where Lucas was not long after. Rosella smiled as she saw Lucas for the first time in 3 years. Boney barked at Lucas. Lucas turned his head to the sound of his bark, and that's where he saw her, his first love. Rose. Rose? Roselle smiled wider as he said her name. Lucas, she said to him happily. Lucas immediately rushed to pull her into a hug. I missed you so much, he said, crying in her arms. Rosella smiled and hugged him back, also a bit teary-eyed. I missed you too. When the two were finished hugging it out, they sat near the edge of the cliff beside Hinawa's grave and looked at the horizon. So, how are things? Rosella asked him. They're okay, Lucas answered. Our search for Claus has been tiring, but it's been worth it. We've gotten a bit more progress. That's wonderful, Rosella chirped, grabbing his hand. Maybe I can help? What? No, Lucas said sternly. It's too dangerous. But Lucas, no, Lucas repeated. I already lost my mom and my brother. I don't want to lose you too. Not again. I'm sorry. But you won't, Rosella said, trying to persuade him. Please, we know he could still be out there somewhere, and we should work together to go find him. Rose, please, Lucas said, his blue eyes meeting her green ones, which were tearing up a bit. Rose, don't give me that face. He sighed, blushing. Fine, he smiled, booping her nose. I know you're just as worried about him as we are, if not more. Rosella beamed at him. She pulled him into another hug. Rosella joined your party. You have no say in the matter. Please protect this bean. Kids, Rosella called out to the two of Kids, Bianca called out to the two of them. I'm so smart. Kids, Bianca called out to the two of them. Lucas and Rosella both turned their heads to see Bianca there. Lucas realized he was still hugging Rosella, so he pulled away, blushing. Good to see you, Mrs. Bianca. Bianca laughed and pulled Lucas into a hug. It's good to see you, too, she said, letting go and pinching his cheek. You've grown into such a handsome young man. Lucas smiled sheepishly. Thank you. Bianca giggled. If only your brother was here, it would be the love triangle all over again. Rosella said, all flustered. Bianca sighed. Anyways, we were planning on getting some dinner at Club Titchaboo soon. Rosella's eyes widened. Awesome! She turned to Lucas and Boney. I'm gonna go home and change. I'll see you there. Lucas smiled and nodded. Yeah, see you there. And so the four of them walked back home to get ready for the upcoming dinner outing. And Minxie, if you would you like to read your glorious comment that you have added to this wonderful masterpiece?
I think you should read them.
Oh golly, Mia Minxie commented. Oh golly, oh gee, I sure do hope that nothing goes wrong on their little dinner outing. I'm so good at reading, you guys. Also, when you get the chance, don't forget to favorite and comment the last four chapters I worked on.
Yes.
I know you're behind, and I know that's kind of my fault for zoning in. But at least the fic is
Yeah,
done.
you go into the zone.
I was in the fucking zone this morning. I could have.
Jordan just woke up and said, I am going to Clausella so hard, and they Clausella the fuck today.
I did.
I ended up picking option in poll to capitalize on the momentum that you got going.
Let me see. Oh yeah, cause in my friends in Minxie's server, I put a. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, so Azura picked Beauty and the Beans for my next project. I'll explain what that is at the end of this. Minxie chose Kono Koko Detarame o Faku, and Gaitia picked The Wonderful Thing About Kaseitora. Great, a three-way tie.
Look, I'm gonna be real. The only reason why I picked Beauty and the Beans is so that you could keep your momentum going, so you'd be able to do more for it, I think.
True. Rosie. Oh yeah, Rosie is Rosella. Rosie is the nickname that her parents give her. Her full name is Rosella Michaela Thornton. Most all of the people like all of her close friends call her Rose, and like close friends, family friends, they all call her Rose, and her parents call her Rosie. Anyways, chapter 2. From majestic to cute. Hard fucking facts. I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are, but you are spitting facts. You know what? Just for that, I'm gonna subscribe to your channel. I'm gonna subscribe to your channel. You've earned a sub. Anywho. Chapter 2. Familiarity. Later that night, Rosella was in her room curling her hair. Said hair was in pigtails, and she had changed into a dress with a leather jacket over it and a pair of high tops. Rosie, are you ready, sweetie? Bianca called. Rosella had just finished her hair. I'm coming. When she made it downstairs, Lucas, Flint, Pierre, and Bianca all stared at her. Lucas's face went red. Wow, you look so gorgeous, sweetie, Bianca said encouragingly. I think she got that from your side of the family, Pierre said, chuckling. Oh, you handsome devil, you! Bianca giggled. Rosella smiled and stood next to Lucas, who was wearing a pair of pants and a sweater. You look nice, she told him, smiling. Lucas smiled back at her. Thanks, you too. Love what you did with the hair, it brings me back. Rosella smiled a bit wider and blushed a bit. Oh yeah, I used to wear my hair in pigtails all the time. Lucas extended his hand out to her. Shall we? Rosella smiled and hugged his arm. Let's go! The parents all chuckled among themselves. When the five left the Thornton residence, Boney snuck into the back of Pierre and Bianca's car. Lucas was the first to notice him, and he sighed. Rosella was the second to notice him, and she giggled, putting a red hat and green shirt on him. The parents soon caught on. God damn it! The parents soon caught on as well and laughed. Oh, Boney, Flint said, sighing. When the 6 of them made it to Club Titchaboo, the security stopped them the moment they saw Boney. Nice try, kid. No dogs allowed. These 6 are with me, a voice suddenly said. That dog is a licensed ESA for Rose? Lucas and Rosella were shocked to see none other than Kumatora standing there. Rosella's eyes widened, but before she could respond, Kumatora dragged them and Boney inside. Kumatora put a finger to her mouth and shushed them. Shh, I'm here undercover. Until I'm off the clock, I'm Violet. Got it? Lucas and Rosella nodded. Kumatora then hugged Rosella. Good to see you. Rosella smiled and hugged her back. She looked up to Kumatora like an older sister. When Flint, Pierre, and Bianca finally came in, Kumatora put the Violet act back on and led the 6 of them to a booth. And what can I get for you? She asked them. I'll start with a strawberry lemonade, Rosella told her. Oh, me too, Lucas piped up. Oh, I guess, fun fact that I haven't yet added, I don't remember if I added this to my OC headcanon thing yet, but, Rosella's favorite fruit is strawberries. She is a strawberry girly. Anyway. Kumatora as a s'more, Kumasmora. Anyways. Kumatora smirked and wrote down everyone's orders. Bianca noticed that her favorite band in the world, DCMC, was setting up to provide some music for the night. Oh my gosh! Her eyes fell on Baccio, the drummer for DCMC, and her cousin. Baccio smirked and waved her over. Good to see you in town, cuz. Pierre walked up to the 2 of them. You too, Baccio. She does! She does wear pink! Here, actually, for the uninformed, let me put up a picture of Rosella. Actually, if the thumbnail isn't picture enough, I just realized I did make the thumbnail Rosella. Yeah, here, let me grab like a full body of Rosella though. While I'm like off topic again. Let's see. Cause I have like a ref of her. It's basically her in like the Earthbound style, but it's like kind of what she usually looks like.
Yeah.
Let me pop it. Let me put it where the
No, don't worry. It's totally okay to get Jordan off topic. It adds character to the stream. Besides, if you didn't do it, we do it anyways.
Yeah. We're all
Yep.
we're all a bunch of listen, we all have we have an excuse. We all have ADHD. Anyways.
I don't think I'd have ADHD. I'm not entirely sure about that. I just know I have autism.
Well, I do have ADHD, so I can use it as a shitty excuse for my shitty
I'm looking at my behavior, and even though I've never been officially diagnosed, I show way too many of the signs to be neurotypical.
Anyways, that's Rosella. That's a full body Rosella. Cause she's a bean. She's adorable. Anyways. Yeah. No, cause thank you by the way. But yeah, Minxie, she kept telling me that like Rosella's hairstyle makes her really stand out as an Earthbound character. And it's like, honestly, I can see it.
I'm right. I'm always right. I've never been wrong about anything ever.
You know what they say, mother knows best.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, now I will continue the reading again. Pierre walked up to the 2 of them. You too, Baccio. Kumatora watched the whole exchange and saw her in. Lucas and Rosella looked at her in confusion.
You okay, Violet?
Rosella asked her. Kumatora nodded. I need access backstage. See the new guy in the afro? Lucas looked over to who she was talking about. Yeah? That's Duster. He's been suffering from amnesia for a bit and once wanted me to, snap him out of it. But in all reality, I just want to make sure the dolt is okay. Rosella looked at Duster and smiled.
Well, at least he seems happy.
Kumatora nodded. As the group played their first song, a group of pig masks walked in, seemingly off duty. The entire place froze. Pierre's face went pale. His eyes fell on their commander, who seemed to be about Lucas's height. Pierre knew exactly who this was, more so than he let on. Bianca looked to her husband.
Uh-oh.
Pierre, is that the masked man? Pierre said in a whisper. A ruthless, cold-hearted killing machine. The masked man snapped his fingers at DCMC, who started playing the song again, this time out of fear. Lucas and Rosella tried to get a closer look at the situation, but the army of pig masks blocked their view. The masked man went over to the bar area to order a drink. One hard strawberry lemonade, he said, his voice void of any emotion. Flint took a closer look at the masked man and noticed a strand of ginger hair. Can it be? The bartender, meanwhile, raised a brow at the young boy, who was not 21. He wasn't even 18. He looked about 13 to 14 at most. Weren't you a little too young to drink? He asked him. And that was when the masked man aimed his gun arm at the bartender. Aren't you a little too old to be asking stupid questions? Kumatora immediately sprang into action to protect the bartender. Lucas and Boney followed suit, but the masked man was able to subdue all three of them. Duster, who watched as his friends went down, took off his afro and jumped off the stage and tackled the masked man. Rosella got her PSI ready, just in case she needed to play healer. Rosella Michaela Thornton, don't you dare get involved! Her father told her.
But Papa!
Rosella protested. Flint put a hand on Pierre's shoulder. Rose, go help my son. He needs you, he said to her. Rosella nodded and rushed to Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney.
PK?
As the four of them got up, Rosella's eyes locked with the masked man's. The masked man's eyes widened as he kept looking into hers. He then got a memory of him and her playing? And Lucas was there too! Rosella froze. She felt her heart beating out of her chest, and her face went a bit red. As Lucas and the others defeated the pig masks, the masked man was forced to retreat. He walked past Rosella, but stopped when he picked up her scent. You smell of roses, he mumbled as he left with his men. Rosella's face only turned a darker shade of red. The entire crowd stood there in shock. A check, please, Bianca said awkwardly. The bartender shook his head. It's on the house. Pierre got up. We're going home. Lucas went up to the flustered Rosella. Are you all right? He asked her. Rosella snapped out of her thoughts.
Yes, I'm fine, Lucas.
He put a hand on her shoulder. Thanks, by the way. We would have been toast if it weren't for your PSI. Kumatora looked at the time. Well, I'm off the clock. She went into the girls' restroom to change back into her hoodie. Duster looked at Rosella. Oh, hey, Rose, when did you get back?
Today.
Rosella told him. Duster grinned. Good to see ya. Kumatora came out and hugged Rosella again. We missed the crap out of you.
Hey, Kumi.
Rosella chirped, hugging her back. Kumi is her nickname for Kumatora. Rosie, we're leaving! Bianca called out to her. Rosella soon parted ways with the two of them, and she, Lucas, Boney, Flint, Pierre, and Bianca all went home. Meanwhile, the pig masks had flopped onto the ground at a nearby hideout. One of them looked up at the masked man, who was seemingly distracted by his thoughts of Rosella. Sir, wasn't that girl the one we were ordered to kidnap? The masked man didn't respond. Sir? Her father was there. If we had kidnapped her, he would have figured out King P's plan to betray him. The masked man informed them all. He then made a call. Porky didn't answer. Instead, he was met with Facade. King P is busy at the moment. Can I help you, sir? I'm going to need backup for my current mission.
I guess racism wins.
I don't know what other voice to give Facade. So
No, I'm not talking about the voice. I'm just talking about Facade himself.
Oh no.
Facade is
Oh
a
yeah, true.
character.
Yeah, true. You're right. That makes more sense. See, that makes more sense. Facade is definitely the stereotype. He's the stereotype of all time. Let me tell you that.
And then he fucking dies after slipping on a banana.
Oh, I mean, to according actually, according, you know how we actually we'll get to that chapter once we get to chapter. I'll explain once we get to that chapter. I might have.
Wow.
This might have actually. You know what? I'll explain it now. Once I might have done a fucky wucky on my end, but remember the chapter where Rosella kicks him in the dick? He just ceases to exist after that chapter. Just saying.
Oh damn.
Rosella might.
Not busted out of
Rosella might actually have blood on her hands unintentionally.
not busted a guy out of reality,
I
y'all.
am somewhat unrelated, but I am gonna end up finding something to bitch about after this stream.
Oh
Oh
shit.
sure.
Oh fun. Yeah, anyways. King P is busy at the moment. Can I help you, sir? I'm going to need backup for my current mission, the masked man told him. Is that so? Facade said, smirking. And here I thought you could handle this. Perhaps you don't deserve to be a second in command. The masked man glared at Facade. Cut the bullshit and do as I say. You work under me. If you have any problems with the way King P runs things, you can bring it up with him. If you don't fear for your pathetic excuse of a life, that is. Facade wasn't going to let him know that he was scared, so he gave him a fake smile. Very well. Your permission for backup has been approved, boss. The masked man hung up the phone when he noticed a giant blimp with Porky's logo approaching them all. When the blimp landed, about 20 pig masks came out and saluted the masked man. Pick up these fives and get them all patched up, he ordered. I want them all battle ready by tomorrow. Yes, sir! As the pig mask carried the injured soldiers into the ship, the masked man stayed outside and thought about Rosella a bit more. That's when another memory came to him. Rosella was getting ready for bed one night when she suddenly heard a knock at her window. She opened it to find Claus there.
Claus?
Shh! He put a finger to her lips.
How did you get up here?
Rosella whispered to him. I climbed up the tree, Claus whispered back as Rosella helped him into her room.
Where's Lucas?
Rosella asked him. He went to bed, Claus answered. I wanted some alone time with you.
You, you did?
Rosella blushed. Claus blushed, realizing what he was implying. Look, don't get the wrong idea, got it? Rosella raised a brow.
Okay.
So what do you say? Claus said, his tsundere demeanor being replaced with his cheeky smile. Want to sneak out? Rosella looked at her bedroom door before looking back at Claus. She was about to take his hand when Pierre caught the both of them. Rosella, go to bed, Pierre said sternly, trying not to smile too much. But he couldn't help it. He secretly shipped the two. Claus, go home. Both of you have school tomorrow. The masked man put a hand to his face, feeling it heat up. But he soon shook it off and entered the ship. He had a mission to complete. And then Minxie says, it's not like he's into her or anything, Baka. And I responded with, but if he keeps denying it, it'll make her Kokoro go Brokero. Chapter 3. Captured. I mean, technically, I already did a dramatic reading of this part because that's my most viewed YouTube video. But for the sake of continuity, I will be reading it again. The next day, Rosella met up with Lucas, Kumatora, and Duster to catch up on some stuff.
So that's what happened.
She said as Kumatora finished filling her in. And we've been staging a rebellion ever since, Duster told her. Rosella frowned. Now she knew what Lucas meant when he said it'd be too dangerous to bring her along. But before she could keep thinking about it, eerie music started playing, and it was getting closer. Excuse me. A blimp landed in front of them, and all 25 pig masks surrounded them. Rosella jumped back immediately.
What's going on?
You're coming with us, one of the pig masks said to Rosella. Lucas immediately jumped in front of her, stick in hand. You won't lay a finger on her, she shouted. You don't want you or your friends to get hurt, do you? Another one said, stepping forward. No, but we'll hurt you, Kumatora said angrily, getting her PSI ready. PK? Stop. When did you learn that? Duster said, impressed. As Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney fought pig mask after pig mask, Rosella healed the party when they needed it. Together, Lucas, Rosella, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney all wiped out all 25 of the pig masks. Why are there so many typos in here? Whatever, I'll fix it. We have to call the masked man, one of the pig masks said nervously. One of the other pig masks called for the masked man. Help! We're getting our hideys kicked! You're all pathetic, the masked man scolded. Rosella froze when she heard his voice. Her heart started pounding again. The masked man slowly made his way out of the ship. Just by looking at him, Rosella could tell that he wasn't someone to be tampered with. But at the same time, the presence was all too familiar. Rosella took a couple of deep breaths as a panic attack started to kick in. Lucas rushed to Rosella's side, putting his hands on her shoulders to try and calm her down. Rose, are you okay? Rosella fell silent as her breathing stabilized. What's wrong? Lucas asked her. She let out a barely audible whisper.
That's Claus.
This prompted Lucas to look closely for himself. No way, Lucas said. That's Claus? The Claus you know is dead, the masked man uttered cruelly.
That's not true,
Rosella said, frowning. The masked man didn't think much of Lucas when he looked at him, but when he laid eyes on Rosella, he felt strange again. She tried approaching him, but Lucas held him back.
Claus, what happened to you?
She asked. He didn't know what it was, but something about this girl made him want to take a merciful approach. That is, if she is willing to submit. That doesn't matter, the masked man told her. All that matters now is you. Rosella's eyes widened in fear. You have been given a great honor. I suggest you don't waste it. King P wishes to see you. Come with me, the masked man explained. Rosella finally realized she was a target, and she had a pretty good idea why. But she was conflicted. She wanted to see Claus again, but not like this.
No,
She said nervously. Don't be foolish, the masked man sneered, grabbing her arm. You've been given a great opportunity to escape sadness and oppression. You are just going to give it all up?
stop it, this is not you.
She yelped. The masked man kept a firm grip on her. I'll give you one last chance to not make a fool of yourself. You come with me, or you will pay the ultimate price. Leave her alone! Lucas cried, rushing up to free his childhood friend/crush. This is not your affair, the masked man hissed before knocking down Lucas with the hardest punch he could muster. Rosella broke free and rushed over to him.
Claus, don't hit him. You're brothers.
Suddenly, another memory came back to him. Lucas and Claus were at Rosella's house, but they seemed to be in some sort of argument. I'm playing with Rose! Lucas yells. Well, I want to play with her now! Claus yelled back. Rosella asked. No, so just play with me, Claus yelled. No, with me, Lucas yelled. Claus pounced on Lucas and they started brawling. Rosella cried. Claus eventually got the upper hand and started beating Lucas up. Rosella yelped, rushing over to him.
Claus, don't hit him. You're brothers.
The masked man looked dazed for a moment, but he shook his head quickly and quickly got back to his senses. Stop it! The masked man angrily demanded. If you don't submit, I will make you submit. Rosella didn't know what to do. Rosella didn't know what to say. All she could do was stand there in silence. The masked man kept staring at her. Well? Kumatora was the next to interfere. Rose, don't do it! But the masked man was able to subdue her with ease. No, stop! Kumatora... Rosella cried. Duster and Boney were about to come help, but the masked man aimed his gun arm at Boney. No, please! I'll go with you! Just don't hurt my friends! Rosella shouted desperately. The masked man turned to face her, his face showing the slightest hint of emotion. Not that anyone could notice it. I submit, she said, hanging her head as tears welled up in her eyes. No, Lucas groaned in pain. Rosella looked at the squad with tears in her eyes. Sorry. You made the sensible choice, the masked man commented, and about time, too. He led her onto the ship. As the ship flew off, Lucas stopped to watch it go. Deep down, he had the feeling that he'd lost Rosella. This heavy feeling welled up in his heart, but he refused to cry. He wasn't giving up on her or his brother. Gee, that's rough, buddy, Kumatora said, getting up and putting a hand on Lucas's shoulder. Boney suddenly barked at the ship. What is it, Boney? Duster asked him. Boney kept barking at the ship, and luckily for them, it didn't get very far. Meanwhile, the masked man was keeping watch of Rosella, who looked visibly upset about the situation she was in. He couldn't help but keep staring at her. Something about her was just so familiar. But alas, he just sat and watched her cry. The masked man unconsciously sat down next to her and put a hand on her shoulder. Rosella stopped crying and blushed when she felt his touch. She looked into his eyes. Claus, don't call me that, he said coldly, his grip on her shoulder getting tighter. Rosella looked away and frowned.
Sorry.
Boss? A pig mask said nervously. What? The masked man responded all snappy. We might have forgotten to fuel up the blimp before leaving, the pig mask admitted. The masked man face palmed. Then take us to Thunder Tower and fuel the blimp there. I'll keep watch of the girl. He did not look happy. Back with Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney, they saw the blimp land at the top of Thunder Tower. What the? Kumatora said in shock. Wasn't that ship about to leave with Rose? Hey, that's perfect! Hey, this is perfect! Duster grinned. Lucas and Kumatora turned to look at him. Time for a super stealthy rescue mission! Duster said excitedly. And who better to help with stealth matters than I? That's not a bad idea, Lucas answered, impressed. Yeah, I didn't think you had it into you, Kumatora teased. Hey, Duster pouted. But how do we get there? Lucas and Kumatora face-palmed. Boney started sniffing out Rosella's scent before barking at the group. Boney? Lucas said. What is it? Boney barked, his head pointing in the direction of where they took Rosella. Lucas smiled. That's it! You must have remembered Rose's scent when she came back. Good boy! He turned to Kumatora and Duster. Let's follow Boney. Right, they said in unison. And the four of them set off to go rescue their friend. I'm going to read this comment, but I'm also going to take a break just to fill up my water bottle. I'm going to drink some water and then I'm going to continue. Is it too soon to say that shit is hitting the fan? Minxie asks. And I answer with, good question. Next question. I'm gonna go fill up my Brita filter. Not my Brita filter. That's already like fine and filled up. I am going to fill up my water bottle, drink water, and then I'll be back. Feel free to entertain the chat, you two. BRB.
Yeah, you go do that. We're gonna be right here. We're gonna promote our totally legit sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. I played it once, and I can tell you guys, please spend your money on it. It's worth the trouble. Even though I never picked up the game ever again, it's totally worth it. Come on, y'all. Let's stop and buy Raid Shadow Legends. And then why don't you get some NordVPN on the side? Good hell. Anyways, I'm going to read. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
All right, I'm back. Let us
Welcome back.
let us continue.
Yay!
Let us continue the dramatic reading. Okay. Chapter 4, Rescued. At the top of Thunder Tower, the blimp was still refueling. I have a meeting, the masked man said coldly. You are not to leave this tower. Got it?
Yes, Claus.
The masked man. Oh, Rosella answered. The masked man kept glaring at her. If you try anything funny, I won't hesitate to use excessive force. And stop calling me Claus! He left her there alone.
So cruel. So cruel.
Rosella frowned before deciding to snoop around. Her sight set upon a strange room that looked like it belonged to a child.
What's this room?
She asked, looking at all the toys scattered around. Jesus Christ.
Stop being sick challenge.
I'm not sick, I just need more water. I choked on air.
That's some good air.
Excuse me. He left her there alone. He left her there alone.
So cruel.
Rosella frowned before deciding to snoop around. Her sight set upon a strange room that looked like it belonged to a child.
What's this room?
She asked, looking at all the toys scattered around. This room belongs to King P, a robotic voice answered. Rosella jolted, looking behind her only to find a robotic maid standing there. I'm Little Miss Marshmallow. What's your name? She greeted. Rosella said nervously.
Rosella. But my friends call me Rose. Nice to meet you.
Little Miss Marshmallow observed her more. You're very pretty, the robot admitted. Rosella smiled and blushed at the compliment. The Rosella tried to. The Little Miss Rosella. I'm so good at reading. Little Miss Marshmallow tried to imitate giggling. Rosella smiled at the cute little contraption. She then noticed a yo-yo in a glass case and decided to investigate it.
Hey, why is there a yo-yo in a glass case? Is it important or...
Don't touch it! Little Miss Marshmallow said angrily, her robotic voice turning sour. Rosella was jolted as Little Miss Marshmallow went from 0 to 100 real quick.
I'm sorry. I'm just curious
About it. If you take Master King P's very precious friend's yo-yo, I will be mad. Mad, very mad. Little Miss Marshmallow screamed, lunging to attack her. Rosella dodged the first attack, but found herself cornered after falling and scraping her knee. She let out a terrified scream. Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney made it just as she screamed. Rose! goes! Lucas, Kumatora, and Duster all yelled in unison. Boney whimpered as he rushed to where her scent was located. Lucas, Kumatora, and Duster followed Boney as quickly as they could. Meanwhile, the masked man and his men were in a meeting with Porky and Facade. "So, you have the girl?" Porky asked. "Yes, my king," the masked man answered. "We had to stop at Thunder Tower to refuel the blimp because someone forgot to do so." He glared at his subordinate. "I'm sorry, you guys," the pig mask said in fear. "It won't happen again, I swear." "Don't sweat it," Porky smirked. "As long as I have the girl in my possession, I'll overlook this little mistake of yours." "Thank you, O merciful King P," the pig mask cried happily. "The blimp should be refueled soon, and the girl will be yours in no time." "And where did you say this girl was?" Facade asked. They all suddenly heard the scream. The masked man's eyes widened in fear. Porky's expression turned angry. "I believe I said I wanted her alive!" The masked man bolted in a matter of seconds. "Any last words?" Lomas Marshmallow asked, grinning psychotically. She approached Rosella with her robotic drill and scissors. Rosella didn't know what to do. She wasn't a fighter and she had nowhere to run. So she instinctively called out a name. "Claus." And lo and behold, the masked man made it just in time to save her. "Get away from her!" he yelled as he rushed into the room. The masked man then got in front of her and pointed his gun arm right at Little Miss Marshmallow, his expression turning dark. He shot her 3 times with the gun arm, and that's when Little Miss Marshmallow started malfunctioning. "You reap what you sow. Greetings, cheese popsicle. The number you have dialed is currently out of pork chops from east to west. It goes broken. Oh, so broken." With that, Little Miss Marshmallow shut down. Rosella looked up and saw the masked man towering over her. Before she could respond, he slammed his gun arm against the wall behind her. "You idiot!" he snapped. "What's wrong with you? You could have gotten yourself hurt and—" He stopped when he saw tears stream down Rosella's face. Another memory came back to him as he started short-circuiting. "You idiot!" Claus snapped at a crying Rosella, who had just scraped a knee from falling off a skateboard. "What's wrong with you? You could have gotten yourself hurt and—" Rosella kept crying. "Come on, let's get you patched up, dummy." Claus picked her up and gave her a piggyback ride. The masked man noticed her scraped knee and picked her up princess style. "Come on," he blurted out. "Let's get you patched up, dummy." Rosella's face turned a bit red. His men rushed in soon after. "Take Little Miss Marshmallow to get fixed," the masked man commanded. "I'll take care of the girl." "Yes, sir," they said, grabbing the remains of her and rushing off. Rosella noticed that the masked man was still carrying her like a princess. Usually, Claus would just give her a piggyback ride when they were kids, so this was a bit of a surprise to her, but not an unwelcome one. The masked man eventually set her down and noticed her blush. "Oh, don't tell me you have a fever, too," he groaned. "Huh?" Rosella gasped. "Fever? I'm fine." She tried to use PK Life Up Alpha on her knee, but she realized she was out of PSI from playing healer for Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney during their fight against the pig masks. "I'll be back with a band-aid," the masked man said, getting up and leaving. "Stay here." "Wait!" Rosella called out to him. "What?" The masked man turned back to her, his cold expression from before coming back to his face. Can I please have a juice box?" she asked. His cheeks started turning a bit red under his mask. "Yeah, sure, whatever." Meanwhile, Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney were rushing to find Rosella, and were fighting off pig masks left and right. "Why now?" He rushed back to Rosella and picked her up. "What?" Rosella shrieked. "What are you doing?" "We have to get out of here now," he answered hastily. "And for the last time, stop calling me that!" "But why?" Rosella asked. "What's going on?" The masked man said nothing after that and got back on the blimp with her. The pig masks were there waiting for the gas tank to fill up. "It's still not full yet?" the masked man said angrily. "No, sir, it's still being filled up," one pig mask answered. The masked man sighed. Never mind that. Activate Mr. Generator to stall for time. Yes, sir, the pigmasks answered. Back with Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney, they had just made it to the generator room. Kumatora groaned. Just where could she be? Duster looked around. I don't know, but I can't see where we're going. It's too dark. They suddenly heard another security system go off, followed by a robotic voice. Suspicious individuals detected inside generator room, it said. Activating defense system. Repeat, activating defense system. All personnel, it would be nice if you'd evacuate immediately. Mr. Generator aimed a volt chop at Lucas. Ah! Lucas is paralyzed by the attack. Kumatora got her PSI ready. PK freeze! She yelled, launching a PK freeze beta at Mr. Generator. This went on for a bit until Mr. Generator finally shut down. Back on the blimp, the pigmasks were panicking. Mr. Generator, shut down! One said nervously. We've lost power! Another added. Now how are we going to refuel the blimp? A third one asked. Let's just go, the masked man commanded. We should have more than enough fuel to get back to New Pork City. But as the blimp started to fly, Duster used his rope snake to latch on to the ladder they left out. Hold on, everyone, he said. He held Kumatora and Lucas in his arms, while Lucas held on to Boney. Oh, hi, Cursed Barney. As you can see,
Cursed Barney!
Hi, Curse Barney. It's been a minute.
I just finished this fanfic. Like, I finished this entire fanfic. Like, I uploaded the last 4 chapters today. And now I'm doing a dramatic reading of it. Isn't that great?
We're doing so great.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing tonight. I'm doing a cold reading of the entire story. He held Kumatora and Lucas in his arms while Lucas held on to Boney. Rosella rushed out when she heard Duster. You guys came to rescue me? She beamed at them. Rose! They all said happily. But their happiness was cut short when the masked man cut the ladder and held on to Rosella for dear life. This caused everyone to fall out of the sky. Rosella gasped, trying to reach out for them. She turned to the masked man and started crying. Could you? And now to go to the glorious comment section. Minxie says, Yep, shit is hitting the fan. P.S. The angst was delicious. And I responded with, like if you cry every time. Chapter 5 Falling. After falling out of the sky, Lucas and Boney landed in the sunflower field near their house. They didn't know how they got there, but how was Lucas going to tell his dad and Rosella's parents what happened? Boney barked into the distance. Lucas got up. Huh? What is it, Boney? The two of them saw the ghost of Hinawa. Mom, Lucas cried. What do I do? I've already lost you. I can't lose anyone else in my family. And I definitely can't lose. Hinawa's ghost suddenly started walking away. Lucas chased after it. Oh, come back, he cried. Please. He sighed before realizing he was back in Tasmeli. Wait, how did I get here? He looked around. Pierre and Bianca rushed to Lucas. Lucas! Bianca called. Where's Rosella? Pierre asked worriedly. Lucas didn't know what to say. Should he tell him that Rose was kidnapped by Claus? How would her parents react to something like this? He started sobbing. What's wrong? Bianca pulled Lucas into a hug. She's not dead, is she? Pierre asked even more worriedly. Lucas shook his head, still crying. Boney whined and tried to cheer him up by nuzzling into him and licking him. Flint heard all this and rushed outside. Lucas! He shouted. What happened? He rushed to Lucas's side. Rose got kidnapped! Lucas finally spoke up. What? Pierre said angrily. By whom? Bianca asked. Claus, Lucas answered. You found Claus? Flint asked, his eyes widening. But he was different, Lucas answered. He was turned into some sort of killing machine. Pierre's face went pale as Lucas explained the situation. Bianca was the first to notice and put a hand on his shoulder. Sweetie, what's wrong? Pierre's silence turned into rage. He promised. What? Flint whipped his head around to face his best friend. Pierre punched a wall. He's promised he'd leave her out of this if I did as he said. I feel so stupid. Flint's eyes widened. You. Pierre hung his head guiltily. I'm so sorry. Flint fell silent. Don't apologize to my dad! Lucas piped up angrily, tears still in his eyes. Apologize to Rose! Your daughter was kidnapped by a brainwashed version of my twin brother! Flint put a hand on Lucas's shoulder to calm him down. Did you know that the masked man was Claus? Pierre nodded. Bianca looked away. What do we do? Well, I'm not just gonna stand there and let Porky do what he wants with Rose, Lucas said. I'm going to round up my friends and try to rescue her again. Flint's eyes widened. Lucas, wait, Bianca sighed and smiled a bit. Remind you of someone? Flint sighed and nodded. Yeah. Pierre frowned. I guess the best thing for me to do is pretend like I didn't know he betrayed me when I go into work tomorrow. That might work, Bianca said. Pierre looked at his wife. You think so? Your boss currently has her with him, right? Bianca pointed out. Get any information you can on the exact location they're both in, and then telepathically send that information to Lucas and Kumatora. Bianca, you're a genius! Pierre exclaimed, pulling his wife into a hugging kiss. Flint smiled as he watched his two best friends show their affection to each other. Meanwhile, Rosella was on the blimp, still crying. The masked man was kind of torn. Should he tell her to suck it up and quit crying? Why would he do that, though? He likes this girl. Wait, he does? But who is she? And why is she stirring all these feelings inside of him? He put his hand on her shoulder. Rosella looked up at him, frightened. When the masked man saw the tears in her eyes, he started to short-circuit again. For a moment, Rosella swore she saw him reaching out to hug her. But he stopped and got up. Wait, where are you going? Rosella asked. I promised you a juice box, didn't I? The masked man answered. I'll be back in a sec. The masked man left her there alone again. With Lucas, he saw Nana sitting alone and humming. He decided to talk to her for a bit. Hey, Nana, Nana gasped. No, don't talk to me. What? Why not? Lucas asked nervously. I have a problem. Nana frowned. I talk too much. Lucas chuckled a bit. So? That's not a problem at all. Really? Nana beamed, her eyes widening. You'd let me talk? Like, a lot? And you won't be mad at me? Or think less of me? Of course not, Lucas smiled. So, how have you been? I've been good, Nana answered. I spend a lot of my time at the beach nowadays. I swim, collect shells, look at the sunset, and make sandcastles. Wow, I didn't know we still had a functioning beach, Lucas joked. Hey, by the way, I heard Rose came back. How is she? Does she still have her pigtails, or... She saw Lucas frowning. Hey, what's wrong? Was it something I said? No, you're fine, Lucas reassured her. Rose was kidnapped. Nana gasped. OMG, by who? She asked nervously. By Claus, Lucas answered. Claus is alive? Nana gasped. Yeah, Lucas answered. He's different, though. He's been turned into some killing machine. And poor Rose. What if he hurts her? Nana hugged him, frowning a bit. You still like her, I guess? Lucas looked away. You can tell? He sighed. Part of me still does. But part of me also knows she loves Claus. But it's hard because I miss them both. He hugged Nana back. Nana smiled and rubbed his back.
It's gonna be okay. Both of them are strong, and together they are stronger.
Lucas smiled a bit. You're right. Maybe she could be the one to get him back to his old self. Nana's eyes sparkled when she saw him smile.
Smile a bit more for me, will ya?
Nana asked, looking into his pretty blue eyes. Lucas's smile grew wider, and it was brighter than any star in the sky.
Your smile is beautiful.
Nana gushed, smiling back. Lucas blushed. Thanks, Nana.
You know,
Nana continued, blushing a bit.
I frankly wouldn't mind being by your side.
Lucas blushed redder. Really? Nana then blushed redder.
Said too much. Good luck rescuing Rose and be safe.
With that, Nana rushed off. Nana, wait, Lucas sighed. She's quite the character. What do you think, Boney? Boney barked and wagged his tail. Lucas pets him. Now to go find Kumatora. Back on the ship, the masked man was alone. Flashes of memories played in his mind. Memories of him and Rosella. What's the meaning of this? Why is that girl doing this to me? He took off his helmet and threw it aside. I don't understand! Rosella, who was patiently waiting for her juice box, heard him screaming about his predicament and went to check on him. She grabbed a couple of juice boxes on the way there. She knocked on the door to the masked man's cabin. The masked man glared at the direction of the door and swung it open. His expression softened when he saw Rosella standing there with the juice boxes. Her eyes widened when she saw him without his helmet on. She knew it was Claus, and this just proved her point.
I brought you something,
she said, putting on her best smile. The masked man noticed her cheeks were red. He sat and took the juice box from her. Thanks, he mumbled. The two of them just stood in the doorway and drank the juice boxes together. Do you want to come inside? He asked her. Not that I care or anything.
if it's okay with you,
She said awkwardly. Rosella gasped as the masked man pulled her inside and held her close to him. Perhaps there was still a bit of the old Claus left in him after all, she thought. So for some reason, Minxie's comment accidentally was sent twice. I think this was just an error on Wattpad's end.
Yeah.
But
Hey, at least you got two for the price of one.
fair. Minxie commented twice. Masked man Googling what these weird new feelings for Rosella are. And I responded on one of them. I would marry you if you gave me a juice box. So funny you say that. He types in, why do I feel warm and fuzzy around some really pretty girl? Help. Yeah, so Google pull up the masked man's search history. Chapter 6. Planning. Author's note. I went ahead and this is just based on like stuff that needed to be fixed. Author's note. I went ahead and changed what people call Kumatora's dads. They're now called the McQueens because I said so, and also they're magical drag queens, and you cannot and will never change my headcanon. The aforementioned meeting with Porky came sooner than expected for Pierre. He woke up and made himself look as presentable as possible. Bianca shifted in bed and looked over at her husband. Oh, sweet Pierre. Pierre placed a kiss on Bianca's cheek. I'll do my best. Bianca got up and put her hand on his cheeks. Just do your best. Just put on your best smile. Get what you can out of him and notify the others. Pierre smiled and nuzzled into Bianca's touch. Yeah. Bianca removed her hands from his face and got up. I'll make us some breakfast in the meantime, okay, sweetie? That would be lovely, thank you, Pierre said gratefully. He turned on the laptop and clicked on the link to the meeting. Porky and Facade were there waiting for him. Hello, Pierre, Porky smirked. Pierre smiled back. It's good to see you face to face, sir. Deep down, he knew he didn't mean a single word. Likewise, Porky responded. Unfortunately, the masked man can't join us this time. I needed him to pick up a package for me. Pierre noticed the pig symbol on the wall behind Porky. He knew immediately that this was the Empire Porky building. When the meeting was over, Pierre made it look like he left. I can't believe he bought that, Porky laughed. I can't wait to get my hands on that delicate little rosy posy. Pierre cringed as he overheard that, but he had to play the part of the unknowing fool. Pierre, Bianca called. Breakfast is ready. Porky's face went pale. Did he know? He did, but he and Bianca weren't going to let him know that. Ah, sorry. Pierre chuckled. I'm quite the klutz. Oh, or wait, I missed a line. But but he and Bianca weren't going to let him know that. Bianca went back into the room. Oops! Forgot to lock out again, sweetie. Sorry. Pierre chuckled. I'm quite the klutz. Porky sighed in relief, thinking that he definitely got away with that. Lucas, Duster, and Boney were meanwhile staying with the McQueens. Kumatora had a bit of a fever, so they had to put their next Rosella rescue mission on pause. Pierre's voice suddenly echoed throughout the building, but only those with PSI could hear him. Rosella's on her way to Newport City, he said. Lucas's head shot up. Newport City? That's pretty far. Boney whined. Aeolia's eyes widened. Pierre, is that you, darling? Yes, Aeolia. It's good to hear from you. No upcoming drag shows? Pierre asked, trying to lighten the mood. Unfortunately, no. Aeolia sighed. Circumstances being as they are. Oh, speaking of which... Aeolia turned his attention to Lucas. Lucas, you are one of the only 3 people who know PK Love. You have duties, you know. I do? Lucas asked. Kumatora slowly got up as she heard them talking. 3? I thought there were only 2. Get some more rest, princess, Doria scolded her. But, Kumatora, darling, please, Lydia said. Kumatora groaned and laid back down. If Rose wasn't kidnapped, I'd be cured in no time. I may not be Rosella, but I can come by and heal your fever if you want, Pierre told her. Ah, yes, please, don't be a stranger. Figria clapped. Or Phrygia, I can't say that right. Phrygia chirped. I'm so good at reading. Phrygia chirped. And feel free to bring dear Bianca with you, Mixolydia added. We'll be over soon, Pierre said as his voice fizzled out. When Pierre and Bianca finished eating, Pierre got up. Kumatora is feeling a bit feverish, so she's back at home. Would you like to grab Flint and go visit the McQueens? I'd love to, Bianca answered happily. Pierre went next door and knocked on Flint's door. Flint, who was stressing out about literally everything, heard the knock on the door. His expression softened a bit when he went to answer it. Hey, Flint, Pierre greeted. Pierre, Bianca, Flint greeted. Pierre put a hand on his neck. I wanted to apologize for keeping that information from you. Flint suddenly hugged Pierre. Pierre hugged back. Bianca smiled and hugged them both. You did it to protect her, I understand, Flint answered. We're on our way to visit the McQueens if you want to join us, Bianca told him. Flint smiled ever so slightly. I'd like that. Back with the others, Aeolia continued talking about the prophecy. As I was saying, I may have taught Claus PK Love, and by extension Lucas. But there is one more person who has yet to tap into hers. Wait, do you mean Rose? Duster asked. Precisely, Aeolia answered. But Rose doesn't know any offensive PSI, Lucas pointed out. She's not a fighter. There was a knock on the door. I'll get it, Ionia sang before opening the door. Everyone's faces lit up when they saw Flint, Pierre, and Bianca there. Lucas rushed over and hugged his dad. Flint hugged him back. Boney barked and wagged his tail, and Flint gave him some scratches. Pierre used PK healing on Kumatora's fever. I'm so good at reading. Kumatora sprang up immediately. Thanks, man! Anytime, Pierre responded. Would you like some tea? Doria offered as she saw Lydia get up to make some for everyone. I would love some, Bianca answered. Speaking of tea, should we tell the Thornsons about their role? Speaking of tea, should we tell the Thornsons about Rosella's role in the prophecy? Phrygia asked. Pierre wiped his head. Pierre whipped his head around to face them. Come again. She has the power to use PK love, Mixolydia told him. Bianca was a bit shocked. I understand that Rosie is a prodigy, but not when it comes to offensive PSI. That's the strange thing about it, Ionia butted in. Her PSI in particular is something even we can't comprehend. So what does this have to do with
I
the prophecy exactly?
hate this
Duster asked.
update.
The 7 needles have been scattered around Nowhere Islands, Aeolia informed him. Only those with PK love can pull them out of the ground. This may be our only chance to end Porky's reign. Kumatora's face suddenly went pale. But if they get pulled, you'll all... I know, Doria said. We'll cease to exist. But it's the right thing to do. Kumatora wiped away some tears. I guess so. Let's just hope Porky doesn't get the same idea. Boney whined and nuzzled up to Kumatora. Kumatora smiled and petted him. Thanks, Boney. Lucas suddenly got an idea. How many of them are en route to Newport City? About 5 or 6 of them, why? Lydia answered, giving Bianca and the others their tea. Let's grab some on the way to rescuing Rosella, Lucas said with determination. That's a great idea, Duster exclaimed. Be safe, you guys, Flint said. Pierre and Bianca nodded and gave them the okay to leave. And so the 4 of them went off to continue their rescue mission. Meanwhile, Rosella was just chilling with the masked man in his ship cabin. She decided to make conversation with him.
Hey,
Yes, the masked man answered coldly.
what exactly does Porky have planned for me?
She asked, cutting right to the chase. From what I've gathered, he wants you for a number of purposes. The masked man grimaced. From the look on his face, none of them sounded good.
But...
Oh, wait, that's the masked man, not Rosella. But... He looked Rosella in the eyes. I feel this weird urge to protect you for some reason. Rosella blushed.
You do?
But the two were interrupted by the ship landing on top of the Empire Porky building. The masked man put his helmet back on, before grabbing her hand and dragging her along with him. Rosella nervously clung onto his arm as they walked out of the ship. The masked man was taken aback at first, but he allowed her to stay there. Something inside him was definitely changing. Chapter 7, Dread. Oh wait, I forgot to read the comment. So Minxie said...
Look, it's me.
Absolute queen shit. And I responded with, the McQueens are McQueening. Chapter 7, Dread. As the masked man and Rosella exited the ship, they were surrounded by pig masks. Every single one of them saluted him in unison. Rosella jolted a bit at the sight. Just keep moving, the masked man told her. His expression was still as cold as winter's. Rosella reluctantly obliged as the two entered the building and Porky's office. Porky was facing the window when the masked man knocked on his door. Who is it? He chirped. The masked man, sir, the masked man responded. I have brought you the girl, just as you asked. Porky swiveled around in his rolly chair. How it was even able to hold him is a mystery. Because he's fat. Excellent! The moment Porky laid eyes on Rosella. Static!
Static.
Static!
Static.
Excellent! The moment Porky laid eyes on Rosella, he was quite obsessed with her. Such a gorgeous specimen. I mean, Pierre's wife was hot, but damn! Rosella felt like she wanted to throw up. And she very well could if she was pushed far enough. The masked man noticed her discomfort and put his hand on her back. Rosella calmed down to his touch. Porky definitely noticed, but he shrugged it off for now. Bring her a bit closer, will ya? Porky commanded. The masked man walked closer to him. Yes, yes, you will look even better up close, Porky cooed. And not a single scratch on her. Good job, masked man. Other than a scraped knee that healed up, the masked man muttered. Rosella was getting more and more uncomfortable by the second. As Porky kept eyeing her body, she could feel herself getting more and more nauseous. The masked man also felt something uncomfortable inside of him. He didn't know the feeling, but he didn't like it. Porky even went so far as to touch a strand of her long brown hair. So soft. But Rosella didn't move. A voice inside of her head kept screaming, Do it for Claus! Porky looked over at the masked man and noticed he was still there. He raised a brow. You're still here? Porky scoffed. You know you can go now, right? But the masked man didn't budge at all. He stood right there and glared at the two. Porky glared back at him. This is new. Masked man, leave us at once! Is the masked man hot? He's 14 in my story. He's 14. So we're not going to talk about that. The masked man is 14 and Rosella is 14. And Lucas is 14 and Nana is 14. No. Like I guess he is a conventionally attractive 14-year-old ginger boy, but that's it. And Lucas is the same. Like it's not like he's not like I wouldn't describe him. I wouldn't describe Lucas or Claus as hot because I'm not a fucking pedophile. But to Rosella, Claus is good looking. And to Nana, Lucas is good looking. If that makes sense. Anyways, the masked man reluctantly left the room, but as he walked away, the feeling inside of him was stronger and more uncomfortable. He turned back and rushed towards the doors of Porky's office. Porky turned his attention back to Rosella and let out a maniacal laugh. Welcome, my dear, to my empire, Porky told her. You know why you're here, correct? Rosella put on a brave face.
Yes,
She answered.
I assume it's for my healing PSI.
Well, my dear, that's not the only reason I'm keeping you here, Porky admitted. Rosella raised a brow.
Excuse me?
Porky laughed again, amused by her naivete. Oh, you really don't see it? Porky put a hand on her cheek. Rosella, my Pookie Bear, you're just gorgeous! As well as supplying me with your healing PSI, you are going to be the newest member of my harem. Harem? Rosella shouted as she quickly backed away from Porky. Rosella gasped as Porky slammed his hand on the desk. Are you disobeying your king? Porky shouted. Don't you get it? I rule the world, so I can decide what I want to do with you. Oh wait, they're 13. Never mind, they're a year younger, so still no. That doesn't change the fact that I'm 13 years old, Rosella protested, but her protest seemingly fell on deaf ears. Porky gave her a menacing glare. So are you going to be a good little girl for me? Or am I going to have to? That's when the masked man came back in. King P! He shouted. Porky groaned. Aw, come on, I was in the middle of something! Apologies, sir, the masked man said. I have a request. Porky's face cracked. A request? Porky gave the masked man a cynical chuckle. You've never asked me for anything before, but no, okay, fine. Entertain me. What is this request? I request your permission to keep the girl with me, the masked man said matter-of-factly. The green eye that was visible from his helmet glared daggers at Porky. Rosella blushed as her green eyes met darted to the masked man. What? Porky yelled in shock. You want to keep this girl for yourself? Have you gone soft? You know what? Fine. She's all yours. Rosella's head whipped back to look at Porky in shock. Really? For now, at least, Porky mused, turning his attention to the masked man. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you have feelings for this girl. The masked man and Rosella both blushed redder. Am I wrong? Porky asked, egging this on even more. I have no such feelings, the masked man shouted, shutting the shit down immediately. I am the masked man, commander of the Pig Mask Army. Blah, 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 Porky interrupted. Just get out of my office before I change my mind. The masked man left his office with Rosella in tow. As the two walked through the halls of the skyscraper, Rosella tried to make conversation again.
Hey,
What? The masked man snapped at her. Rosella looked away, blushing.
just wanted to say thank you for getting me out of that situation.
The masked man looked away, his expression as cold as ever. Don't get the wrong idea, got it? Rosella felt her heart break a bit as he kept treating her coldly. Come on, let's go, the masked man said as he dragged her into his quarters.
So cold.
Rosella sighed. The masked man heard her that time, and he was not happy. He cabedoned her against the door. Don't push me, he warned. You think this is cold? I could hurt you a lot more if I wanted to. Rosella smiled pitifully.
Then?
She put her arms out, signaling for him to shoot her.
Do it. I know you won't.
The masked man raised a brow. Excuse you? Rosella's tears came back, but the smile was still on her face.
If you shoot me, then that's okay too. Because I refuse to live in this world. A world where I can never see your smiling face again. Claus.
The masked man raised his gun arm at the mention of the name Claus, but as he readied an attack, he knew he couldn't go through with it. Whatever this girl was doing to him was definitely working. I can't. The masked man punched a wall with his gun arm and rested his head on her shoulder. I don't understand. Rosella suddenly hugged him. The masked man's head shot up as Rosella wrapped his arms around him. His face went red as he remembered something.
Scary movies.
Rosella said as she and the twins started watching Monster House. Lucas and Claus had come over to Rosella's house to keep themselves entertained during a rainstorm. Aw, come on! You and Lucas are both big babies, Claus teased. Lucas had just come back with popcorn for the three of them. Not all of us can be brave like you, Claus, Lucas retorted. Well, that sucks then, 'cause girls dig bravery, Claus smirked, putting an arm around Rosella. Lucas pouted at Claus and put his head in Rosella's lap. As the three of them watched the movie, Rosella and Lucas kept closing their eyes whenever anything scary happened. Claus noticed Rosella and Lucas both cowering with their eyes closed, so he decided to be a mischievous little shit. He whispered into Rosella's ear, Rose, open your eyes for me? But when Rosella opened her eyes, she was greeted by a jump scare. She screamed and held on to Claus, crying her eyes out. Claus was taken aback when he held on to her, but nevertheless, he paused the movie and held her close. Ah, crap. Sorry, Rose. Bianca, who heard Rosella cry, went up to check on the three of them. She smiled as she saw Claus hugging Rosella, but she still had to scold him for his prank. Claus, that was very naughty, she said. Sorry, Mrs. Bianca, Claus said guiltily. And Rosie's apology? Bianca asked him, raising a brow.
He already said sorry to me,
Rosella muffled, keeping her head in Claus's chest. Can't say mad at you, Bianca gushed. The masked man felt his face heat up again. I can't bring myself to hurt you. Not now, not ever. Let's see the iconic comic that Minxie has left. When will the beans get their happy ending? Give it a few chapters. And by a few, I can finally say 9 chapters. Actually, wait. If we're subtracting the epilogue and the love confession, Technically, their happy ending is about 7 to 8 chapters away. A little more than a few, but we'll get there. Chapter 8, Unexpected. Author's note: yes, I added a songfic portion to this. But please, dear readers, let's not get snappy. I don't make the rules. Oh wait, I do. Anyways, this song is to the tune of the Mother 3 love theme in F major for all my fellow music lovers. Back with Porky, he heard another knock on the door. Ugh, what now? Porky groaned. King P? Facade's voice was heard from the other side of the door. Oh, it's you, Porky said. Sorry, I thought you were the masked man with some other outrageous and out-of-character request. Facade raised a brow. Come again? He said as he entered Porky's office. You don't think he's breaking free from your control, do you? I hope not, Porky answered, rubbing his fat temples. He's the best soldier I have. Without him, I'm as good as roasted. I understand. Facade nodded as he approached his desk. Perhaps there was something I can do to remedy this situation. Porky raised a brow. Go on. Facade chuckled darkly. I have a bit of information that could prove useful for the Empire. Porky kept listening in anticipation. The island contains 7 needles. If pulled out of the ground, the dark dragon appears and grants whoever pulls out the last needle a single wish. Porky chuckled darkly. That's quite useful information indeed, Porky said. However, the prophecy says that only 3 people have the power to pull them out of the ground. Another dumb prophecy? Porky groaned. Last time I got in the way of some prophecy, I got my shit handed to me. I see. If it makes you feel any better, 2 of the people mentioned in the said prophecy are in your possession as we speak. It does, Porky answered, his smile returning. Would the 2 happen to be the tragic lovebirds I just dismissed? The very same, Facade answered. Porky started to plot. The third one could be anyone at this point. I'll have the masked man get started on that tomorrow. Tomorrow? Facade protested. Why not right now? If I hear that love-struck kook go on about Rosella for the rest of the day, I'm going to throw up. Oh, wait, let me redo that. If I hear that love-struck kook go on about Rosella at all for the rest of the day, I'm going to throw up. Porky groaned. Rose this, Rose that. That's it. We can use Rosella as a means to keep the masked man in line. I feel honored to serve under such a genius ruler, Facade said. Porky put a finger to his double chin. But how to go about it? Porky turned to a nearby pig mask. You there! Give the masked man his newest mission briefing tomorrow morning at the crack of dawn. Yes, King P. The pig mask saluted before going off to do his other tasks. Back with the masked man, he and Rosella were now sitting on his bed together. This girl is so confusing, he thought to himself. The way she's making me feel,
Hey,
Rosella's words seemingly snapped him out of his thoughts. Call me Commander, the masked man blurted out.
well, Commander, is there a bathroom nearby?
Rosella asked.
I wish to shower and change into pajamas.
I'm going to redo that line.
Well, Commander, is there a bathroom nearby?
Rosella asked.
I wish to take a shower and change into pajamas.
And why exactly do you think you're in a place to make such demands? The masked man asked coldly.
I'm sorry,
Rosella said panicking.
Rosella said panicking. I didn't mean to come off as demanding.
I didn't mean... Ugh. It's that door over there. He was pointing in the direction of the bathroom as he said that. Rosella nodded gratefully and went into the bathroom. She locked the door and took a shower. While she was in the shower, she sang. If I can even do this right now.
I came back to see you smiling at me, but you went and disappeared. What was I to do?
The masked man's eyes widened when he heard her sing. Her voice, it's relaxing and so beautiful. Have I heard it somewhere before? I'm gonna drink more water for this.
So I promised to go out and find you. I would travel this earth for you because I love you.
The masked man started getting flashes of a younger Rosella singing in a secret forest grotto, a place only he, Lucas, and Rosella knew about.
Good times, bad times, I know we've been through both. We've helped each other when we needed the most.
The masked man removed his helmet and put his ear to the door as she finished the song.
So don't try to hide what you feel inside. I'll heal your battle scars for you because I love you.
When Rosella finished showering, she used her PSI to conjure up a DCMC band tee and a pair of sweatpants. She kept her hair down, and as she opened up the bathroom door, the masked man fell on top of her. This caused her to yelp. Apologies. Oh, the masked man immediately got up, his face redder than the stripes on Lucas's shirt. Apologies, he said, his eyes wandering to her choice in pajamas. And long, and long, wait. He said, his eyes wandering to her choice in pajamas and long brown hair before promptly looking away again. Rosella giggled a bit when she saw how awkward the masked man was acting. It's almost like she had clawed back. It's almost like she had claws back, even if it was for a moment.
It's fine. I'd be glad to sing for you again, you know.
The masked man composed himself. Maybe tomorrow, he told her. For now, we should both get some rest. It's late.
Right.
Rosella said, blushing.
Oh, that reminds me. Where am
Before she could answer, the masked man wrapped her in his arms. This only made her blush redder.
Come here.
Hush. Let's go to sleep, he whispered as he led her to his bed and snuggled up to her. Rosella felt like her heart was about to leap out of her chest excitedly. But alas, she was also pretty tired. The day was such an emotional roller coaster for her, but at least it ended on a high note.
Good night.
She whispered as she dozed off. Good night, Rose, he responded. I love you. The masked man put his hands over his mouth as he said that. What the hell was that? He thought to himself. Love? Is that what I feel for her? Early the next morning, their slumber was interrupted by the pig masks from the day before knocking on the door. Masked man, sir? He called. As the two of them slowly started waking up, the masked man punched the wall in anger. This caused Rosella to jolt up in fear. What? He snapped at the pig mask. Forgive me for waking you, sir, the pig mask said. I was ordered to brief you on another mission. The masked man let go of Rosella and put his helmet back on. Elaborate. While the pig mask filled the masked man in on his next mission, Rosella went into the bathroom and used her PSI to conjure and change back into her blue overalls. She was feeling relatively cold this morning, so she swapped her pink t-shirt for a white long-sleeve sweater. She even swapped her sneakers for beige Uggs. So because of a prophecy, I have to collect some gold needles? The masked man asked. I guess, the pig mask answered. Even he was a bit confused by it. King P mentioned it, and something about using Rosella as bait to get you to do what he wants, and... Oh, is that right? The masked man smirked cynically. Well, that's unfortunate, because she's coming with me. Rosella was shocked and clearly could not have picked a better time to exit the bathroom.
Excuse me?
The masked man picked her up princess style. We're leaving. Rosella held on to him for dear life as he spread his robotic wings and flew off with her. They were on their way to Snowcap Mountain. Back with Porky, he had just finished eating breakfast. So, did you brief him in on the mission like I asked? Porky said to his cohort. Yes, sir, the pig mask answered. He already left with Rosella, and they're out collecting needles as we speak. Porky's face cracked. He what? And let's see the comment that Minxie added. 0 out of 10 because I am a professional music hater. And I responded, rightfully so. You are lying through your teeth. You do not hate music, Minxie. You are a liar. You are a snake. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, we're halfway done with the reading, you guys. Chapter 9. Progress.
Where are we going?
Rosella asked as the masked man flew in the air with her in his arms. Snowcap Mountain. The masked man he answered. My scouter says there's a needle there that hasn't been pulled yet. Rosella looked up at him.
Needle?
According to some prophecy, I'm apparently one of 3 people that can pull them out of the ground, the masked man informed her.
3?
Rosella wondered as the masked man set her down. Rosella bumped into the needle in question, and it suddenly started glowing.
What's going on?
She shouted in shock as the needle started rising out of the snow. The masked man could only watch in awe as Rosella's aura turned pink. The needle seemed to respond to her aura. Do you know what this means? The masked man asked her. Rosella looked back at him.
I don't know at all,
she admitted. The masked man inched closer to her. You can use PK love. Rosella's eyes widened.
But I'm not a fighter. How did...
That's when it hit her. Her love for claws. Did her PSI somehow seep deep down into her heart? And as a result, it gave her the ability to use PK love? Her PSI was truly a mystery. Meanwhile, Lucas and Kumatora were making their way up to Snowcap Mountain when they both sensed the needle was already pulled. Damn it! Kumatora cursed. Are we too late? Lucas asked her. Duster kept climbing. Let's go see who pulled it. Maybe we'll get some answers on who the 3rd PK love user is. Right! Lucas and Kumatora answered in unison. Once they made it to the top, Boney immediately rushed off barking. Boney, where are you going? Lucas asked, soon giving chase to Boney. Kumatora and Duster soon followed. The masked man's scouter picked up on 4 familiar figures, one of which was running towards them at full speed. We have to get out of here now, the masked man commanded. But before he could pick up Rosella again, Boney tackled Rosella into the snow and licked her face.
Boney, what are you doing here?
Rosella laughed happily. Boney got off of Rosella and got in between her and the masked man protectively. The masked man glared at the dog as Rosella got up and wiped the snow off of her. Lucas, upon seeing Rosella, rushed up to her and pulled her into a hug. Rosella gasped and blushed as Lucas hugged her. I was so worried about you, he said, crying into her shoulder. Rosella gave him a head pat as he did so. The masked man didn't seem too pleased about this, but before he could respond, another memory came to him. I want you to go! Lucas yelled as he sobbed into Rosella's shoulder. Do you really have to move away? Claus asked, standing a few feet from them and holding back tears of his own.
I don't want to either,
Rosella told them, also in tears.
I said we have to.
Bianca gave her husband a frown, seemingly begging for him to reconsider. But Pierre was having none of it. Now that Porky caught wind of Rosella's healing PSI, he had to move, and fast. Claus suddenly cracked and also hugged Rosella, sobbing his eyes out. All the things I wanted to say to you! I never got to say them! Rosella tried to put on a smile.
Keep in touch, right?
Claus nodded, wiping away some of his tears. Yeah, I'll write to you as much as I can. Me too, Lucas piped up. Rosella let go of the twins.
Just have fun at your grandpa's house, okay?
The twins nodded.
Goodbye, you guys.
Rosella said as she went into the back of the Thornsons' car. The masked man put a hand to his helmet. These memories, he thought to himself. Those two must be connected to them. But the way they're hugging each other just pisses me off. If you don't want me to go back on my word, you would be wise to quit hugging each other, the masked man said coldly. Lucas let go of Rosella and glared at the shell of his brother and got in front of Rosella protectively again. Put your hands on any of us, I fucking dare you, Rosella Kumatori yelled, also getting in front of Rosella. The masked man was about to attack, but then he stopped himself. He made a promise to Rosella after all. Instead, he brought out a contraption, which turned into the steel mecharilla. Rosella jumped back in fear. She yelped. A chimera King P gave me to control, the masked man answered. But you promised you wouldn't hurt them, Rosella protested. I'm not, the masked man said snarkily before swooping in and grabbing Rosella again. Besides, as long as these guys understand that you're mine, I won't personally have to destroy them. Rosella felt her heart shatter. All the progress she made trying to soften him was seemingly lost. But as the masked man started flying away, Lucas stopped him. As the masked man started to fly away, Lucas stopped him. Before you go, he told him, just answer me this. Who is the third PK love user? The masked man looked over his shoulder at Lucas. I'm currently carrying her. The entire group was shocked. The McQueens were right! As the masked man flew away, Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney were left to fight the steel mecharilla. What do we do? Duster asked the group. Only one option, Kumatora answered. We fight! Boney, who had to witness Rosella get captured all over again, let out a fucking war cry. He rummaged through a sachet Lucas had put on him, and completely yeeted bomb after bomb at the steel mecharilla. Lucas, Kumatora, and Duster all stood there in shock, as Boney basically soloed this fight. This happened to me my first time I played Mother 3, so now it's a canon Clausella moment. Yes, this is, okay, stopping this, pausing real quick, this did actually happen to me. The first time I played Mother 3, Boney basically soloed the steel mecharilla fight. It was crazy. Cause Boney was like over leveled as fuck. I forgot why and how, but in my playthrough, Boney was cracked. Anyways, back to the story. Holy shit, Rosella said quietly. Meanwhile, Rosella and the masked man had just made it back to the Empire Porky building. The masked man had dragged her back into his quarters and set her down. Rosella took a step forward.
Why did you go back on your word?
Rosella asked him.
You promised.
Just shut up, the masked man growled. A singular clause slipped out of her mouth, which caused him to cabbage on her once again. Forget about Claus! He shouted. His face suddenly moved closer to hers. I love you. That's when he suddenly went in for the kiss. The kiss was rough, but it had a surprising amount of passion. Rosella gasped and broke the kiss, putting her hands over her mouth.
That was my first kiss,
She whispered. Good, the masked man said blankly. Rosella stood there with her hands still on her mouth. The masked man just stole her first kiss. She was staving that kiss for Claus. She knew he was Claus, but everything was just so confusing to her. The masked man looked at her, his expression softening again. Visions of her as a kid flashed in and out of his head as he kept staring at her, so he eventually looked away. Rosella looked back at him in concern. He was clearly battling something internally. She held onto his hand. The masked man blushed and raised a brow. So you go from hugging another boy to holding my hand, he said sarcastically.
It's not like that.
Rosella assured him, blushing. The masked man looked into her eyes, another memory coming back to him. Hey, Lucas? Claus called to his brother, wanting to talk to him one-on-one.
Yeah, Claus?
Lucas responded, turning to face him. Can I tell you a secret? Claus asked him. Anytime, bro, Lucas answered him. I know I say I don't have a crush on her, but I think I love Rosella, Claus admitted, blushing. You have a crush on her too? Lucas asked excitedly. Claus's face cracked. Who else has a crush on her? He asked. I do, Lucas answered. Claus's expression turned angry. How could you say that? She's mine! The masked man suddenly started to tear up. He didn't know why he was crying, but he couldn't stop. Rosella let out a concerned sigh and held him close. She took off his helmet and started giving him head pats, just like she did with Lucas earlier. The masked man melted into her touch. I just want you to myself, he told her, a bit of Claus seemingly coming out of him. Is that so bad? Rosella, noticing the change in his voice, smiled a bit.
Of course not,
Rosella answered.
I just wish you would remember.
Then, the masked man said matter-of-factly, help me get my memories back. Rosella nuzzled into him.
I'm trying my best, I promise.
Finally! And Minxie said, finally, a win for heterosexuality. So, yeah, actually, they're not heterosexual at all. I headcanon Rosella as demisexual panromantic, and I headcanon Claus as bisexual. There is no rhyme or reason for this, I just do. Chapter 10. Opportunity. Now what do we do? Lucas asked worriedly as he and the others regrouped back to Tasmily Village. We're gonna have to hurry and pull the rest of those needles, Kumatora answered. Boney whined a bit. But where do we even start? The next one is located at the top of Fire Mountain, Kumatora told him. Duster pulled out a map. That's near Snowcap Mountain, right? Lucas nodded. We should go there next. But what about Rose? Duster asked. It's risky, but I think she should stay with Claus for the time being, Lucas told the others. What? Duster yelled in shock. Are you out of your mind? You're just going to leave your crush with that monster. He's still my brother, Lucas responded. If anyone can get him back to his senses at this point, it's her. I actually think Lucas has a point, Kumatora said. She's basically working on the inside for us right now. If she can spend more time with Claus without Porky's influence, then maybe, just maybe, we can get him back, Duster muttered. Exactly, Kumatora said excitedly. Lucas knew what he had to do. Oh, somebody left. Oh, Azura went to bed. Good night, Azura. Guess it's just me and Mother. Anywho. Exactly, Kumatora said excitedly. Lucas knew what he had to do. Meanwhile, Rosella was with Porky. Since you clearly refuse to be mine on account of your crush on my strongest soldier, I might as well put you to some other use, he told her. Rosella blushed as he brought up her crush on Claus, but that wasn't the only reason she was nervous at the moment. The masked man was there with them, acting as a bodyguard for Rosella. He noticed Rosella's anxiety rising, so he squeezed her hand a bit. Oh, please, Porky scoffed. Show more PDA, why don't you? Just rub it in the king's face. Wow, awesome. The masked man glared at Porky, blushing a bit.
So, what exactly do you need me for?
Rosella asked. See that giant spear behind me? Porky asked, motioning to it.
Yes?
Rosella answered. Porky chuckled, finding her expressions cute. That, my dear, is my patented absolutely safe capsule. It's not completed as of yet, but it needs something that only you can provide. Your healing PSI.
Mine?
Rosella asked. Yes, Porky answered. Originally, I had your father provide his instead, but his powers are weak. So I figured since your abilities surpass his by a long shot, I'd just get you to do this. And the fact that you're so good looking could have been a two birds with one stone situation, but. He glanced at the masked man who was still glaring daggers at him. It seems even the king of the world can't get everything he wants.
So that's why Papa has been all frantic. So that's why Papa has been frantic.
What? Brain is not braining, hold on.
So that's why Papa has been all frantic these past 3 years.
Rosella whispered to herself. The masked man kept a hold on her hand to make sure her heart rate was stabilized. Rose, can you hear me? A voice suddenly materialized in her head. It was Lucas's.
Lucas.
Rosella responded back telepathically.
Yeah, what's up?
Think you can keep Claus distracted while I pull more needles? He asked her.
I'm with him and Porky right now, Rosella answered, but I'll see what I can do.
Rose, the masked man said, squeezing her hand again. Are you all right? You spaced out for a second.
Fine.
Rosella answered, smiling and blushing a bit. So, Porky continued, will you provide your PSI for this machine? Rosella sighed. She knew she didn't have a choice in the matter.
Very well. Since you've been gracious enough to let me spend time with the masked man.
But deep down, she didn't mean a single word. Gracious was not something she'd call him unironically. Porky smirked. Good girl. It seems the masked man has already managed to make you more sub. The masked man suddenly shot at Porky before holding his gun arm with his other hand. I'm sorry, King P. My gun arm seems to be acting up. Permission to get it checked, sir. Permission granted. Porky grimaced. But the girl stays here. The masked man left the room. Porky groaned. It's shit like this that makes me want to destroy the world and escape in my safe capsule in the first place. I just wanted a utopia, but no! I can't have anything! Rosella saw an opportunity in the form of malicious compliance. This will probably be the most malicious thing she'll ever do in her life. But she had to, for the world, and for Claus. Rosella went up to the machine and used all of her PP to charge the absolutely safe capsule.
Is that enough PSI for you?
Rosella asked him. Porky looked at the capsule with a smile. Yes, that's more than enough, he shouted with glee. Perhaps I should reward you. That's when the masked man came back in. My gun armor is fixed, sir. My gun armor is all fixed, sir, he muttered. By the way, where is Facade? Wait, oh, he muttered. That's when the masked man came back in. My gun armor is all fixed, sir, he announced. Porky rolled his eyes. I can't have 1 minute alone with this girl, can I? He muttered. By the way, where's Facade? The masked man asked. Oh, him? Porky smirked. He's, Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney were meanwhile fighting Facade at Fire Mountain for the 4th needle. Dealing with some stuff for me. The masked man nodded and took Rosella with him. Hey, if you're gonna lug her out everywhere, at least take the lady on a date, Porky said as he left. Rosella and the masked man both blushed a bit as they kept walking. I don't think I've ever been on a date, the masked man admitted. What do they entail?
Well,
Rosella answered, blushing redder.
first you ask the person out, then you pick a location. Preferably somewhere with romantic intent, like the beach or a nice picnic or even a dinner for two. Somewhere.
I'm gonna redo that line.
Well,
Rosella answered, blushing redder.
first you ask the person out, then you pick a location. Preferably somewhere with romantic intent like the beach or a nice picnic or even a dinner for two somewhere. How fancy or casual each person dresses depends on the date and location. And then
Go on a date with me, the masked man said matter-of-factly. Rosella stopped walking entirely and blushed even redder.
I'd love to.
Meanwhile, Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney defeated Facade. Lucas pulled the needle out of the ground. So that's 4 needles now, he said. It's getting late. Duster said. Let's go back to the usual place. Right, Lucas and Kumasora said in unison. When the four of them made it back to Tazmily, they saw Nana there. Lucas blushed when he saw her. Nana? He said softly. Hey, Lucas. Nana greeted. How've you been? I've been okay, Lucas answered. You? I've been fine, Nana said. Just spending some time at the beach as per usual, collecting shells, swimming around. As Nana kept yapping at Lucas, Duster led the other two away to give them some private time. Lucas just happily listened. Something about her voice seemed to calm him down. Oh, by the way, how's progress in the Rose department? Nana suddenly asked. Oh, Lucas answered, blushing. I've actually given up on that. Romantically, I mean. We're still trying to rescue her, obviously. Nana giggled. I get it. So I assume you're a happily single Pringle? Lucas blushed redder. Well, actually, I'm in love with someone else now. Nana blushed. Oh? Who? Lucas noticed the sun setting. The sun's setting, gotta go! I'll see you, love! Lucas immediately shut his mouth and ran off. Nana blushed redder as he left her there. Was he about to confess to me? She asked herself. Okay, chapter 10. What Minxie... Oh, this comment! These comments. So Minxie said, the shipping fuel is getting big with this. BTW, when's the wedding? And I asked, which one? And she answered with yes. Still waiting for that response, Minxie. Which wedding are you waiting for? You never told me which wedding you wanted.
The answer is yes.
God
That's
damn it.
the answer. Yes.
God damn it. Anyways. Just getting down there. Why is this not letting me go to the next chapter? There we go. Chapter 11. Memories.
So what exactly are we doing for this date?
Rosella asked as the masked man led her back to his quarters. I haven't decided yet, the masked man answered monotonously. Do you have any preference for where I take you? Do you have any preference for where I take you? Rosella thought about it for a bit.
I might have a place in mind,
she admitted. The masked man raised a brow. Where exactly? He asked.
Well,
she started, blushing.
There's this cute little hidden grotto on the outskirts of Tansmelly Village. I used to sneak off there all the time. Whenever I felt sad or anxious, I always found comfort in that spot.
The masked man smirked a bit. He didn't take her for someone who'd sneak around. Even little goody two-shoes has a bit of a rebellious streak in her, he thought. Rosella noticed his expression and blushed redder. What are you looking at me like that for? He asked, blushing as well.
You seem more expressive lately.
I'm gonna redo that line.
You seem more expressive lately,
Rosella pointed out. What, is that a bad thing? He asked, nudging her a bit.
Of course not,
Rosella answered, grabbing his hand and smiling.
I love it. You should express yourself more often. You should express yourself more often.
The masked man gave her a genuine smile before clearing his throat. Anyways, what should I wear on this date? Rosella started going through his clothes until she found a pair of ripped blue jeans and a white t-shirt.
How about this?
The masked man looked at the outfit. That's fine. But the helmet and jacket are staying on.
Really? The helmet too?
Rosella asked in slight disappointment. I'll take it off when we get there. I just don't want anyone getting any ideas, he told her.
Very well,
Rosella sighed. Her attention then shifted out to the next night sky. She frowned at the lack of stars. Light pollution's a bitch, and it's all Porky's fault. She turned away from the window and went into the masked man's bathroom to get ready for bed again. The masked man felt a bit tired, so he just went right to sleep. When Rosella finished getting ready for bed, she saw the masked man sleeping peacefully and smiled to herself. She took off his helmet and kissed his forehead.
Good night, Claus.
Little did she know that kiss did something to him. What's wrong with a harmless prank? Claus said as he, Lucas, and Rosella were hiding from some pig masks who had just shown up recently. No one knows why they were in town at that moment in time, but Claus wanted to take it upon himself to mess with them a bit. They look like they mean business, Lucas pointed out.
They do,
Rosella told them.
Papa said they work for his new boss, and that we shouldn't mess with them.
Your dad's always such a big worrywart, Claus scoffed. Watch this! He then took out a slingshot and attacked a pig mask. The pig mask took 5 damage. Why, you little brat! He said, getting ready to attack the 3 of them. Uh-oh, Lucas said nervously. The pig mask cohort tried to attack Claus. Claus dodged quickly. Lucas, go get our parents! Claus commanded. I'll handle these 2. Lucas nodded and rushed off to find the nearest parent. The masked man attacked Rosella this time. The pig mask, sorry. The masked man, he don't hurt her. He don't hurt her. The pig mask attacked Rosella this time. Claus got in front of her to take the hit for her. Smash! Claus took mortal damage. Rosella screamed. She quickly cast PK Life Up Alpha, but to her surprise, it worked more like a beta. Claus's HP was maxed out. What? The pig mask yelled in shock. Pierre, who showed up with Lucas, witnessed her use her powers. His face turned pale. Rosella Michaela Thornton, what do you think you're doing? He yelled. The battle came to a complete halt. The pig mask stood up straight when Pierre showed up. I'm so sorry for my daughter's actions, he pleaded with them. The pig masks looked at each other and then back at Pierre. We should be apologizing, sir, one said. We didn't know this was your daughter. Her boyfriend here was the one who tried to mess with us. The other one piped up. She's not my girlfriend, Claus protested. She's not my girlfriend, Claus protested, blushing. Pierre muttered some choice words in French about how he wouldn't let him date her after what happened today. Did he mean it? No. But he knew he and his family weren't safe here anymore. He said nothing as he dragged the 3 of them home. When they made it back to their houses, Pierre took Rosella inside and slammed the door. Lucas and Claus stood there dumbfounded. The masked man woke up in a cold sweat. He soon noticed a figure in the corner of the room. The figure was Hinawa's ghost. Hinawa saw Rosella next to him and smiled, disappearing. The masked man wiped away some tears and looked down at Rosella. He moved a strand of her hair behind her ear. He seemed to find a lot more comfort in her presence. He soon went back to sleep. The next day, Rosella was up early getting ready for her date with the masked man. She took a shower and now she's wearing a pink midi sundress with a rose pattern on it. She let her hair down and curled it. She conjured up a beige sun hat and matching sandals. She also conjured up a bag with a big blanket and an entire packed brunch for 2 in it. Brunch. That's the word. The masked man woke up soon after. He looked at the outfit Rosella picked out for him and smiled a bit. He immediately put it on and went to knock on the bathroom door. Rose, you done in there? He asked.
Just about,
Rosella answered, opening the bathroom door. The moment he saw her in the sundress, he put a hand to his heart. You look beautiful, he whispered. It's fine, the masked man said. If you want to call me that, you can. It's grown on me a bit. Rosella beamed at him, which only made him blush redder. But don't call me that in front of anyone else, got it? He commanded.
Got it,
Rosella said happily.
Shall we go?
The masked man composed himself and nodded. He wrapped his gun arm around her waist and held on to her wrist with his other hand. Rosella looked up to him as he took to the sky. Her face was flushed with amazement. So where is this place? The masked man asked her as he got closer and closer to Tasmelly.
See that little forest over there?
Rosella said as she pointed to the forest by the Thornton Manor.
It's in there.
The masked man landed at the entrance of the forest and set her down. He blushed as Rosella took his hand and led her further into the forest. He kept getting flashes of her as a kid. As the 2 of them walked, he stopped for a second and felt himself glitch out. Are you okay? Rosella said as she turned around to check on him. She gasped when she saw his systems overload. Rosella immediately sprung into action, grabbing his shoulders and using PK healing on him. The masked man's systems became stable as she did this. Rose. Rosella smiled and put her hands on his cheeks, resting her forehead down on his helmet. The masked man looked up at her, his face heating up. Rosella let go of his cheeks and got out the blanket and brunch. She put the blanket down flat.
Here, let's eat to regain our.
Bleh.
Here,
That was horrible.
here, let's eat to regain our strength.
That was still a horrible line. Let's try that again.
Here, let's eat to regain our strength.
She told him. The masked man nodded and sat down, grabbing an egg and cheese sandwich from the bag. He handed one to Rosella as she sat down next to him. Bianca, who happened to be taking a stroll, saw them together and gasped, soon hiding behind a tree and watching them. The masked man took off his helmet and after finishing his sandwich. Bianca smiled and got her camera ready. Rosella, after finishing her sandwich, noticed some cheese on his face and wiped it off for him. Click. Thanks, the masked man said, blushing a bit. He put a hand behind his neck. Rosella looked over and smiled at him, blushing. Click. The masked man tried to reach out for her hand but wimped out at the last minute. Rosella noticed this and took her hand in his. The masked man blushed redder. Click, 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 click. Bianca immediately rushed home to show Pierre her shipping fuel. Okay, that was okay. I'm pretty proud of that one. Maybe it's just because it's so late at night, but that made me cackle. Anyway. Pierre was meanwhile mulling over some things, trying to muster the courage to quit his job and deciding whether or not he should keep himself and his family in Tasmilly permanently. Pierre! Bianca said excitedly. You'll never guess what I got! Pierre raised a brow at Bianca. Quoi? Bianca immediately showed him the picture she took of Rosella and the masked man. Or, well, Claus. Pierre's eyes widened when he saw the pictures. C'est beauté. C'est beauté. He said, getting teary-eyed. Even while blurry and washed, he still loves her. Bianca kissed him on the cheek and took the pictures into her study. These are definitely going into the Clausella scrapbook, she said, giggling as she got a glue stick and scissors out. And then Minxie commented, okay, but Bianca being the most relatable character here is just wonderful. And I responded with, she's just like us for real. Because she is. She is like us for real. Bianca Thornton is real and she's all of us. Everyone who has left a like on this video is Bianca Thornton. We are all Bianca Thornton. Chapter 12, Strength. I think because Minxie hasn't been able to get on her laptop yet, this is the last chapter with obligatory comment at the end until further notice. So I'm just going to keep reading regardless. Chapter 12, Strength. Back at the Empire Porky building, Facade walked in and collapsed on the ground. The surrounding pigmasks panicked. Oh no, Sir Facade is down! One pigmask shouted. What do we do? Another one added. Do we get someone to come help him? A third one asked. I guess, a fourth one answered, bringing out a walkie-talkie. Porky was busy getting a massage when the announcement went off. We need backup on the first floor! Facade is passed out and no one here knows what to do with him! Porky's face cracked. Pick him up and put him in the instant revitalization machine, you idiots! He shouted before getting in contact with the masked man. Rosella was meanwhile cleaning up after the picnic she and the masked man had at the secret grotto.
Thanks for coming out here with me,
she said happily. The masked man blushed, putting his hand behind his neck. Don't mention it. Rosella picked his helmet back up and gave it to him. The masked man put his hands on top of hers. Rosella blushed as their hands touched. The masked man leaned in closer to her. Can I kiss you? He asked, his voice sounding more like claws again. Rosella blushed redder, but before she could answer his question, Porky interrupted them. Masked man! Come in, masked man! He commanded. The masked man's voice changed back to his monotone as he answered. Yes, King P. I need you and the girl back here now, Porky said frantically. The masked man put his helmet back on and used PK Teleport Omega, which brought them back to the Empire Porky building immediately. Go back to my quarters and change, he instructed her. I'll be there more momentarily. Rosella nodded and started to make her way back to his quarters. On her way, she came upon Facade, who was still on the ground.
Oh no, are you all right?
She asked him worriedly. Facade's eyes widened when he heard her voice. Can you do me a small favor, dearie? He asked her in a sickeningly sweet voice. Can you please get me inside that machine? Rosella nodded.
I'll try my best.
But as she picked him up, she felt herself struggling. She wasn't strong by any means, whether it be with offensive PSI or otherwise. I know I'm a bit heavy. You don't have to insult me, girlie. Facade sassed as he noticed her struggle. Just use your appealing PSI. It basically does the same thing. Rosella dropped him and used PK Life Up Gamma on him. Facade smirked darkly as he got up and faced her. Thank you. He suddenly got a little too close for comfort and picked up a curl on her head to examine. You're quite the pretty girl, he cooed before harshly pulling on the curl. It's no wonder the master man has been soft with you. If you were in my possession, I would have brought tears to that bright complexion of yours the moment I had my hands on you. Rosella yelped in pain as she was dragged towards him by her curl. Come on, girl! Call your boyfriend, I dare you! Facade threatened sinisterly. Rosella suddenly mustered up what little courage she had at that moment and kicked him in the pork sausage. Smash! Rosella landed a critical hit. As Facade collapsed to the ground again, she rushed into the masked man's quarters to quickly change back into her pink shirt, blue overalls, and pink soccer cleats. She put her hair back into her usual half up, half down heart space bun, double heart. Technically, the picture of it's right there, so I'm just gonna keep going. She put her hair back up in her usual half up, half down heart space bun look. The masked man who had gotten his next mission completely ignored Facade as he went back to his quarters. He walked into the room and saw Rosella relaxing on his bed again. Rosella smiled as she saw him again.
Ah, welcome back.
Also, as I mentioned before, after this moment, we don't hear from Facade ever again. Rosella basically killed him. She killed him, you guys. She's a murderer. She may be an uwu soft girl for most of her life, but she did kill a man by kicking him in the pork sausage. That's not canon. It's just like a coincidence. That's not actually what happened. We don't know what happens to Facade. We're just gonna keep that open. We're just gonna keep that one open ended. Rosella killing him is not canon, cause she's too much of a good girl to do that.
Ah, welcome back.
The masked man wasted no time in picking her up princess style, again and flying off with her. This time his destination was, and I know I'm going to butcher this. This time his destination was Chupi Chupioi Temple. I'm saying it like the Pokemon Pichu because I don't know how else to say it. Where Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney were also headed. When the masked man made it to the temple with Rosella, she noticed an army of pigmasks waiting there for the masked man to give a command.
What's going on?
She asked as he set her down. The sixth needle is in that temple somewhere, the masked man answered, and I have to be the one to get it. Not so fast! A voice shouted. It was Lucas! Rosella's eyes widened as she saw Lucas standing there. Kumatora, Duster, and Boney rushed up behind him. Rosella's expression softened as he saw them there. Why must our paths cross again? The masked man grimaced as he saw the way Lucas and Rosella looked at each other. He got his sword out, which made Rosella panic. Rosella cried. Lucas suddenly got an attack ready. Rosella shouted as her head whipped around to look at him. The masked man got in front of Rosella and rushed to Lucas. Rosella screamed in terror as the two of them fought. She shouted, but her words fell on deaf ears. You won't take her away, the masked man said as he attacked Lucas. We're here for the needle, dumb fuck, Kumatora retorted. Well, you're not getting either, the masked man said as he attacked Kumatora. Duster and Boney also joined the fight. Rosella tried to interfere again, but she was stopped by some pig masks. All she could do was watch as the fight continued. After a long and difficult fight, the masked man suddenly collapsed. Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney had successfully defeated him. Rosella rushed past the pig masks and went to the masked man's side. She shouted in anguish. Lucas went up to Rosella and put a hand on her shoulder. Rosella started to cry. Lucas gave her a sympathetic look, but he knew they couldn't dawdle. We should go, Lucas told her. Rosella nodded, getting up from her spot. But as the five of them started to make their way into the temple, she secretly stayed behind for a bit. She used PK Life Up Gamma on the masked man and went to catch up with the others. The masked man put a hand on his face as he regained consciousness. Did she just heal me? He mumbled. I don't know, sir, the pig mask answered. She seems like a big softy. The masked man's face turned red as he looked up at the clouds. That girl. Rosella, meanwhile, caught up with the others. There you are, Duster said as he saw Rosella catch up to them. Where were you?
Well,
Rosella blushed. Lucas's expression turned serious as the five of them kept going through the temple. After obtaining the needle, the gang once again regrouped back in Tazmily. This time Rosella was with them.
the town's looking a bit empty.
Rosella pointed out. There you are, Pierre said as he rushed up to the five of them and hugged Rosella. Rosella shouted as the two reunited. I was worried sick about you, he cried.
I know,
Rosella answered.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, Pierre said as he put his hands on her shoulders and looked into her eyes. I should have been honest with you. I should have told you the masked man was Claus. I should have told you that Porky was after you. I just wanted to protect you. And I failed. And I'm sorry for that. Rosella smiled, wiping some of her tears away.
It's okay, Papa.
Pierre smiled and let go of her. Your mom and I have some unfinished business with Porky, so just spend the night with the Lockwoods, okay?
Be safe.
Rosella told him. Pierre nodded and left. As Kumatora and Duster went inside to say hi to Flint, Lucas and Boney stayed outside with Rosella. Boney whined and nuzzled his head against her leg. Rosella smiled and petted Boney. Boney wagged his tail. Lucas sighed. I still can't believe the masked man was Claus this entire time, he admitted. And yet you were able to figure it out from the jump. Rosella nodded and smiled pitifully.
Yeah, I can read auras, so it wasn't that hard to tell. And with the ginger hair peeking out of his helmet, and that one gorgeous emerald eye, it definitely sealed the deal.
Rosella blushed as she finished saying that. Lucas chuckled. I assume you still have feelings for him? He asked her.
You can tell?
Rosella giggled, blushing redder. Oh yeah, Lucas answered. Everyone can.
Yeah, I guess I do tend to wear my heart on my sleeve,
Rosella admitted. For sure, Lucas said before his expression turned a bit more serious. You know, Claus and I used to fight over you all the time. We both had huge crushes on you. Rosella's eyes widened. Did he just confess to her?
Really?
She asked. Yeah, Lucas admitted. I definitely had feelings for you back then,
I'm so sorry.
Rosella said, frowning.
I didn't know.
No, it's okay, Lucas said reassuringly, waving his hands around frantically. It's fine, really, because the truth is, I'm in love with Nana. Rosella's face suddenly lit up with excitement.
Oh, wait, you should ask her out.
She shouted happily. Lucas smiled. You know what? You're right, he said with determination. I should ask her out. Right after we get Claus back to his senses and into your arms. Rosella laughed.
You're the best. You'll always be my best friend, Lucas. Thank you.
No, Lucas said as he hugged her. Thank you. And so the two hugged it out. So, this was, I think this was released on Azura's birthday. So while we were, because Azura did like on her Twitch, Azura did like a birthday stream, and we were playing Jackbox, and so Minxie decided to comment on her last comment. The last comment she put before, hopefully she'll put new ones eventually, but for like the newer chapters. But the last comment she fucking put was, "You suck at Jackbox." So I responded with, "That's not a Clausella comment, you bitch." And now we're finally caught up. I don't know if Minxie, I don't think you have you read this yet? Minxie? Minx? I have a very important question for you. Have you read this yet? Because if not, then we're about to read it. Are you excited to read the new shit? Her mic's muted right now. Minx? You didn't fall asleep on me, did ya? Minxie.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. So I have a question. Have you been able to read this? Because if not, we're about to read it.
You know what? I wouldn't go into it blind, so I'll probably leave because I have to put my phone to charge anyway. The battery is extremely low.
Okay. Well, I hope you enjoy it. Don't worry.
Yep,
Don't
I want
worry.
to go into it blind.
Yeah. Don't worry, chat. I'll still read the rest for you guys. So,
So I will leave my groundbreaking comments when I get the chance to read it.
okay.
So see you guys.
All right, everyone say goodbye, Minxie.
Bye, bitches.
Bye, bitches. And then there was one. I'm probably going to disconnect from Discord anyway, just so I can take these headphones out. And now I can finally have my audio not do fucky wuckies. Chapter 13, Courage, Part 1. You lost? Porky shouted as the masked man admitted his failure. You're the best soldier I have! How do you lose to 4 people and a dog? Especially when the 4th one didn't even fight you! She healed you! Porky scoffed before continuing his rant. You've gone soft, boy. All that time spent with your little girlfriend has made you weak. She's not my girlfriend! The masked man protested angrily, his face red. She's not? Porky smiled sadistically. I was going to set you two up on a little concert date tomorrow night, but if she's not your girlfriend, then... The masked man's expression turned dark. He knew Porky was just fucking with him at this point. I'll still go to that dumb concert with her, the masked man growled. Oh, no, you're not, Porky retorted. I am not rewarding failure. Your next mission is to look for the last needle. Now! The masked man wanted to argue, but he held his tongue. Very well, sir. He went back to his quarters to prepare for his upcoming mission, but he stopped himself. I guess it wouldn't hurt to go to the concert with her before my mission, he said, blushing as he thought about Rosella again. Later that night, Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, Boney, and Rosella spent the night at the Lockwood's house, at the Lockwood residence. After a nice shower, Rosella was all snug and comfy in Claus's old bed. Her hair was no longer curly, since it was naturally straight. Boney hopped onto the bed and snuggled into Rosella. Rosella giggled and let him stay there for the night.
Good night, Boney.
Boney and Rosella happily fell asleep. Flint came into the twins' room to check on everyone. He smiled as he saw Rosella and Boney sleeping peacefully on Claus's old bed.
Pierre asked me to go to New Pork City with him for something. You guys should make your way over there tomorrow, okay?
Lucas nodded. Got it. Flint closed the door as the five of them went to sleep.
I hope Pierre knows what he's doing,
He mumbled as he left for New Pork City.
It takes a great deal of courage after all.
The next morning, Rosella was up bright and early. She conjured up another outfit. This time it was a pair of blue jean shorts, an oversized DCMC t-shirt, and a pair of pink Crocs. Specifically the ones with the fuzzy insides. After changing into the outfit, she noticed Lucas was sleeping in as usual.
Some things never change, do they?
Rosella giggled as she gently shook Lucas awake.
Lucas, wake up. It's morning.
Lucas slowly got up and stretched. Morning, Rose, he hummed. Duster was the next one to wake up.
I think we're supposed to go to New Pork City today,
He said. Kumatora also started to wake up and noticed a giant limo waiting for the five of them. Is that our ride? She asked.
Probably,
Duster answered. Lucas fed Boney as Rosella went outside to converse with the limo driver.
Got it. The rest of them should be ready soon,
She told him. She said to him. When the other four were done getting dressed and ready for the day, they joined Rosella in the limousine. I'm a bit hungry, Lucas said. Yeah, me too, Kumatora added. Can we stop for breakfast on the way? Duster asked. The limo driver obliged as he drove them to a nearby fast food joint. Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Rosella got simple breakfast sandwiches. Rosella wasn't that hungry, so she gave half of hers to Boney. Once the limousine made it to New Pork City, the five looked out the windows in shock. This place is massive! Lucas shouted. You think that pig is compensating for something? Kumatora joked. Wait, what would he be compensating for? Duster asked. His pork sausage, probably. Kumatora chuckled as Lucas put his hands over Rosella's ears. Boney barked as he saw Flint, Pierre, and Bianca outside. The limousine parked right beside them. Rosella immediately rushed out and hugged her parents. Mama! Bianca gasped. She cried as she hugged her daughter. What are you doing here? I thought you were on a date with Claus.
You knew about that?
Rosella asked, blushing. Yep, Bianca giggled. Even got some pictures. Rosella whined, blushing redder. Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney exited the limousine. Duster. Just the person I wanted to see, Bianca said, rushing over to him. My cousin Baccio wanted to know if you'd like to play bass for DCMC tonight. Duster's eyes widened. More than anything, he answered, smiling. Pierre and Bianca took Duster inside, while Lucas, Kumatora, Boney, and Rosella stayed outside with Flint.
So how was the date?
Flint asked Rosella. Rosella blushed even redder.
It was wonderful.
Flint smiled in approval. Much like Bianca, he was also on the Clauselic train. Boney barked at Lucas when he saw Nana trying to get into the concert. What? You need to get tickets in advance for this, she asked, frowning. It doesn't start until tonight. I was hoping I could buy a ticket now. Rosella and Lucas looked at each other and then back at Nana. She's with us, Lucas said as he and Rosella walked over there. Nana's eyes widened when she saw Rosella for the first time in 3 years. Rose! She shouted, glomping her and sobbing. Oh my gosh, I was worried sick about you. Oh, I'm so glad you're alive. Rosella giggled and hugged Nana.
I missed you too.
She smiled. Nana let go of her. You look good, she said.
You good.
Rosella responded. Lucas blushed as he saw his two crushes laugh and talk it out. Flint hands Lucas 3 backstage passes. One for him, one for Nana, and one for Rosella. Thanks, Dad, Lucas said before turning back to the girls. We should probably go inside, girls.
Right.
Rosella said as she and Nana followed him inside.
What is this place
Anyway, Nana asked, taking a backstage pass from Lucas.
It's humongous.
It's the Empire
It's the Empire Porking Building.
Rosella answered, grabbing the other backstage pass from Lucas.
This is where Papa works. And where I was held captive.
You sure you're okay being back here? Lucas asked her.
I'm fine,
Rosella answered, smiling.
I wanted to come back to see
The 3 of them suddenly saw the masked man standing there.
Claus.
I told you not to call me that in front of others, he barked.
I'm sorry,
Rosella said, frowning. Whoa, chill, Lucas said, frowning. Nana looked at the masked man, then at Rosella, then back at the masked man. Wait, what? That's Claus? She asked in shock. I'm not Claus, the masked man answered.
Well, not Claus. You want to see the concert with us?
I forgot to put that's Nana's line, by the way. I forgot to distinguish that. The masked man looked at Rosella, seemingly waiting for her input.
Please?
Rosella asked him. I suppose so, the masked man answered, blushing. But don't get the wrong idea. I was already planning on going anyway. Nana giggled. For someone who swears up and down there in Claus, you do seem to act a lot like him, she teased. The masked man was about to protest when Rosella interfered.
Come on, guys. Let's just hang out backstage, okay?
Fine, the masked man answered begrudgingly. And so the 4 of them went backstage to chill for the time being. When the 4 of them arrived, they saw Pierre, Bianca, Duster, and Flint chatting with the other DCMC members. Boney snuggled up on the couch, and Kumatora chilling with a joint in her hand. Rosella coughed when she smelled the weed. The masked man put his arms on her shoulders protectively and glared at Kumatora. You can't smoke in here, he said matter-of-factly. Take that shit outside. Kumatora scoffed and went outside to smoke. Bianca got Rosella's inhaler out of her purse and handed it to her. Here, sweetie. Thanks,
Mama.
Rosella said as she started to breathe in and out of it. Little masked friend here is so protective of you, isn't he? Bianca smirked knowingly. Rosella and the masked man both blushed at the same time when Bianca said that. Pierre gave the masked man a look. The masked man scoffed and let go of Rosella. Maybe he was getting soft, he thought. But at the same time, it just felt so right to him. Part of him longed to understand why that was, but there was still a part of him that was loyal to Porky. He looked away, frowning. He knew he had no choice but to complete Porky's mission. The war inside of his mind and memories waged on. Chapter 14, Courage, Part 2. As the concert grew closer and closer, Rosella got herself ready. She put on very subtle makeup and fixed her hair a bit. Meanwhile, Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, Boney, Nana, and Flint, Pierre, and Bianca were still backstage hanging out. Even the masked man was relaxing ever so slightly. I can't believe the king let DCMC put on a concert, Nana said excitedly. I mean, I know he's all horrible and stuff for everything he's done, but well, Nana got all embarrassed after she realized she'd been talking everyone's ears off again. Lucas looked at Nana with adoration. He had fallen so hard for her at that he forgot all about his fight against Claus for Rosella's affection. Lucas smiled, blushing. Oh, how he loved... Lucas smiled, blushing. Oh, how he loved hearing her yap. Boney snuggled up to Lucas and Nana. King P only wants what's best for the world, the masked man mumbled. Does he? Kumatora asked rhetorically. Does he really? The masked man glared at Kumatora. I'm just saying, he did order you to kidnap your crush for his own twisted, sick, his own sick and twisted motives. That definitely got a reaction out of the masked man. But before he could respond, Rosella came out of the girls' bathroom.
I'm finished. Does anyone need to use the bathroom?
She asked.
I do.
Nana said as she walked past Rosella. You look so cute, she said before going inside. The masked man's heart skipped a beat as he saw her all dolled up for the concert.
Oh, you look lovely, sweetie.
Bianca gushed before handing the masked man a DCMC t-shirt and a pair of ripped jeans. Here, put these on. The masked man nodded thankfully at Bianca's kind gesture. He then went into the boys' bathroom to change into the outfit. He kept his masked man attire tucked away in the cabinet under the bathroom sink and went back out. Bianca gasped excitedly as the masked man came out of the boys' bathroom. Flint's eyes widened as he saw his son without his helmet for the first time in 3 years. The masked man looked around the room as another memory came back to him. Okay, kids, we're going to take some pictures of you by the sunflowers, Bianca said, holding up a camera. Rosella chirped, dragging Lucas and Claus over. I don't wanna! Claus whined, pouting. Why not? Lucas asked him. I just don't like them, Claus answered.
Please?
Rosella asked, batting her eyes.
I think you look picture perfect.
This caused Claus to blush. Then I guess I'll take a photo or two with you guys. But not because I want to or anything. Bianca giggled before positioning the camera. All right, you see. All right. That was horrible. All right, you three. Say fuzzy pickles.
Fuzzy pickles.
The three chirped. Lucas held up a peace sign. Claus made a funny face, and Rosella grinned and hugged the two of them. The masked man held Rosella close, giving the camera a strong and possessive look. Rosella was beet red as the masked man held her in his arms. Bianca gushed and snapped pictures. You were so cute. Meanwhile, DCMC left to go take the stage. Lucas, Nana, Kumatora, Boney, Bianca, Flint, and the masked man and Rosella left to go watch the concert. Pierre stayed behind. He took a deep breath. It's time. The concert was a blast. Duster had the time of his life playing bass. Bianca cheered her heart out as her cousin played the drums. And Rosella and the masterman were holding hands? Lucas and Nana were meanwhile standing next to each other. Nana rested her head on his, which caused Lucas to blush. Lucas smiled and snuggled into her. Rosella looked over and saw Lucas and Nana acting all lovey-dovey. She winked at Nana and gave her a thumbs up with her free hand. Nana giggled and winked back as she noticed the masked man inching closer to her. Suddenly, the music stopped. That's when Pierre took the stage and took the mic. He took a deep breath. Porky, I quit. The entire room went tense. Porky, who was watching from the 100th floor, snapped. His fat ass rushed down to confront Pierre. What the fuck? Porky shouted. What do you mean you quit? I quit, Pierre repeated. The only reason why I agreed to work with you was for the safety of my daughter. You promised to keep her out of your plans if I worked for you. You broke your promise, so I'm breaking mine. As Pierre dropped the mic, the masked man looked away guiltily. The weight of Kumatora's words finally got to him. He let go of Rosella and rushed back and went back to the boys' bathroom. Rosella's heart shattered as he left her there. She rushed after the masked man as her dad and Porky had it out. Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney rushed in to defend Pierre. Porky ran off like a coward. He went back up to the 100th floor and got his absolutely safe capsule ready. Kumatora, Duster, and Boney chased after him. Lucas was about to follow when Nana stopped him.
Lucas, where are you going?
Nana asked him. I'm overthrowing Porky's empire, Lucas answered, his courage flaring up. He then held her close. If anything happens to me, I just want to let you know that I love you. Nana blushed. And I'm going to leave you with this before I go, Lucas continued. He then kissed Nana on the lips. Nana was a bit shocked at first, but she ecstatically kissed back. When the two broke the kiss, Nana let go of him.
Be safe, babe,
she said. Lucas gave her another big, beautiful smile. I will. I promise. Nana smiled and put a hand over her heart as Lucas rushed to the 100th floor. When Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney made it to the 100th floor, they fought valiantly against Porky. They gave it their all and even won. But Porky wasn't done yet. He got up, laughing maniacally. Do you really think I'd let you win? He asked, opening the door to his absolutely safe castle. With this machine, I will live on. Thanks to your little healer friend and that traitor cuck dad, I will be able to live forever. The four of them stood there in shock. He just locked himself into his own eternal prison. And it wouldn't take long for Porky to figure that out for himself. But there were bigger things to worry about. Back with the adults, Pierce was standing there in silence. You did great, sweetie, Bianca said as she kissed Pierce's cheek. Pierce smiled and kissed Bianca on the head. Wait, where did Rosella go? Flint asked. Meanwhile, the masked man had just finished changing back and was now about to go find the last needle. Rosella rushed backstage to confront him. Claus, why did you— I need to go, the masked man said coldly. I have to complete my mission. He suddenly held her close one last time. If you really wish to stop me, he whispered in her ear, come find me. I'll be right below the city. And with that he let go of her and rushed off. Rosella wasn't going to cry this time. She knew exactly what she had to do. Don't worry, Claus, she said, putting a hand to her heart. I plan to. With a spark of determination flaring in her heart, Rosella was off to save her beloved Claus. She knew it was going to be hard to get through to him, but she knew she had to. And it's not like she was alone. She knew she could rely on her friends and family for help. So that's what she did. Her path once again crossed with Lucas, Kumatora, and Boney. Her path once again crossed with Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney, and even Flint this time. The six of them were now on their way to confront Claus. Chapter 15. Love. The chase was on. Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, Boney. I'm so good at reading. The chase was on. Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, Flint. The chase was on. Lucas, Kumatora, Duster, Boney, Flint, and Rosella made their way below the city as quickly as possible. The masked man had just made it to the 7th needle when the others caught up to him. Don't do it! Lucas shouted. The masked man turned around and got his sword out. With one swoop, he summoned a lightning attack, which knocked Kumatora, Duster, and Boney to the ground. Rosella yelped as she saw her friends fall. But then, Hinawa's ghost suddenly appeared behind Rosella. Lucas, she said. Lucas gasped and turned around as he heard his mother's voice. Claus. The masked man growled as he heard her voice. Claus, stop it. You aren't Porky's robot. You're our son. Also, quick pause. One of my other voice acting videos, I also already voice acted this scene too. It's not as viewed as my other voice acted scene, but there is a love confession voicing thing that I did. It's not lore accurate to the story anymore, but it's there. Get out of my head! The masked man shouted, firing another lightning attack. Lucas, look out! Flint shouted as he took a blow for Lucas. He then grunted and collapsed to the floor. Lucas shouted worriedly. Flint looked at the masked man. Claus, please remember. I've been looking for you for so long. Claus! Hinawa and Rosella said at the same time. You and Lucas are brothers. The masked man looked at Rosella and Hinawa. his eyes widening as they both shared the same sentiment. Can you hear me? They both continued. You're Claus. Your name is Claus. You're our son, Hinawa shouted. But the masked man wasn't having any of it. Enough! He shouted as he attacked one more time. Rosella rushed in front of Lucas and took the attack for him. That's supposed to say him. Where's the thing for him? I'll also fix that and the other things. I'll fix more of it tomorrow though. But for the most part, it's done. For the most part, it is done. She yelped as the lightning struck her. The masked man stopped dead in her tracks. His face went pale as he realized he just attacked the one person he never wanted to hurt. Rosella took this as her chance. She started to walk towards the masked man, but Lucas stopped her. Rose, what are you doing? He asked, holding her onto her wrist. Are you crazy? Rosella looked back at him with tears in her eyes and a determined smile on her lips.
Well,
She answered.
love makes you do crazy things. That's why I have to get through to him, even if it costs me my life.
With a heavy heart, Lucas let go of her wrist. He knew if anyone could get through to his brother at this point, it would be her. Rosella took a step forward. Claus! She shouted, standing her ground. The masked man turned to face her.
I know you're still in there, Claus, so listen up, okay?
She continued.
You, Lucas, and I have been through so much together. We played together. We laughed together. We even cried together. And not just that, you and I, we did so much on our own. The nights you would sneak up to my window and take me out to see the stars, those were some of the happiest moments of my life. Don't you remember me? At all? It's me, Rosella. I'm finally back.
The masked man started to tear up as well. If you really are the girl from those memories, then why did you leave me all those years ago? He asked, crying.
I wanted to leave you,
Rosella answered, putting her hands to her heart.
If it was up to me, I would have stayed a lifetime. Because
Rosella took a deep breath.
I...
And then she finally let it all out. She finally told him the one thing she's been wanting to say for years.
I love you, Bob Lockwood.
Rosella suddenly rushed up to him and jumped into his arms, kissing him. As the momentum of her kiss knocked his helmet off his head, all of his memories came flooding back to him. He finally remembered that he was Claus. Claus broke the kiss. Rose? Is that really you? Is that really you? He shouted. Or, Rose? Is that really you? He asked softly. Rosella nodded before hugging him and sobbing. Claus held her close.
I thought I loved you forever.
Rosella said through sobs. Were you really that worried about me? He asked her. But before she could answer. Jeebus. You think I'd be better than this? You think I'd be better at this while I'm in the zone, but again, I'll fix it. I'll fix it when the time comes. Or I'll fix it tomorrow. Cause it is pretty late for me. So this is basically my bedtime story. But we're almost done, so. Were you really that worried about me? He asked her. But before she could answer, Lucas rushed up to the two of them. Claus! Lucas shouted. Lucas, Claus said happily as he saw him rushing over. Rosella let go of Claus and let the twins hug and cried out. Son! Flint said as he joined the hug. Dad! Claus cried. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything.
It's okay,
Rosella answered, putting her hand on his back.
'Cause now you're here. And your safety was all we were worried about.
Oh, Rose, he said, tears still in his eyes. You've always been there for us, even at our worst. Lucas's attention then turned to the needle. He pulled it out with all his might. The dark dragon appeared before the group. You each get one wish, it roared. Rosella and Claus turned to the majestic being. Lucas went first. I wish for the world to be restored to its former glory, without the influence of the evil that has corrupted it, he said. I wish for everyone brainwashed by that evil to be set free, Claus said.
And I wish for everyone who had tragically passed because of that evil to be given a second chance at life,
Rosella added.
It is done,
The dragon said as it got to work.
Thank you,
Rosella said, beaming at the dragon.
No,
The dragon said as it nuzzled into Rosella a bit.
thank you.
As the dragon disappeared, Kumatora, Duster, and Boney got up. Boney suddenly barked and wagged his tail when he saw one very special woman return. She gave Boney some scratches. Flint was the next to notice her presence.
Hinawa,
He whispered, tears in his eyes. Flint and Hinawa shared a passionate hug and kiss. When the two broke the hug and kiss, Rosella turned around and gasped. Lucas and Claus were the next to turn around. They were stunned. Mom! They shouted, running to her and hugging her. Hinawa turned her attention to Rosella. Well? She asked. Aren't you going to join us? Rosella walked over and joined the hug. Group hug! Kumatora shouted as she and Duster also joined the hug. Let's go home, everyone said. Or, let's go home, Hinawa said once everyone was done hugging and crying it out. And so all of them went back to Tasmilly village. When they returned, the villagers welcomed them back with open arms. The 6 McQueens that helped aid our heroes were brought back to life. Kumotora hugged them, sobbing. Bianca rushed up to Hinawa the moment she saw her, and they hugged it out. Pierre and Flint high-fived and hugged each other. Nana rushed up to Lucas and pulled him into a kiss. Lucas smiled and kissed back.
We're planning a block party to celebrate the fall of Porky's.
Or, wait, I forgot a line. Rosella started to get emotional again, so Claus squeezed her hand before holding her close.
We're planning a block party to celebrate the fall of Porky's empire,
Nana said after breaking her kiss with Lucas.
I hope I'll see you all there tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll be there, Lucas said. But for now, it was super late. Excuse me, so everyone went home. While Rosella went up to her room and fell asleep, Pierre and Bianca decided to address the elephant in the room. We're staying here for good, right? Bianca asked him. Pierre smiled. Of course. Forever and always. Chapter 16. Epilogue. The next night was truly momentous. With the block party in full swing, the entire village could finally relax and celebrate. It started with a drag show put on by none other than the McQueens. Through the art of drag, they told the story of our heroes and their fight against Porky's empire. 3 years ago, we lost a very important woman, Hinawa Lockwood, Aeolia narrated. Hinawa cheered as Doria dressed up as her. Whack! Bianca shouted, making it rain lots and lots of money. Hinawa died, trying to protect her kids from a mechanized Draco. Lydia and Phrygia came. I'm so bad at. It's Phrygia. I'm just gonna change it. I'm just gonna fix things. Don't worry. We're almost done though. Uh, uh, I have to. Fuck it. I guess I'll just read it while I change it. Lydia and Phrygia Lydia and Phrygia came out dressed as Lucas and Claus. Both twins got flustered as everyone laughed and cheered. Struck with grief, Claus ran away to avenge his mother, but he was badly beaten. That's when Porky found him and turned him into the masked man. Phrygia put on a prop helmet and jacket and brought out a prop sword. Claus wanted to rip Phrygia a new one for this, but when he saw Rosella's laughing face, he just sat back and took the joke. He was feared by the entire world. But there was one girl who saw through the mask. Her name was Rosella Thornton. Rosella laughed louder and cheered as Miss Lydia came out dressed as her. And with the help of Kumatora and Duster, the 5 of them went out on a journey to overthrow Porky's empire and save the world. Kumatora was obviously playing herself, while Duster was played by Ionia. The McQueens continued to tell their story through their drag, and when the show ended, they got a standing ovation. Flint smiled and took the stage once the McQueens collected all the money Bianca threw at them. Pierre also
Thank you, McQueens, for your show-stopping performance, he told them. You were wonderful as always.
Pierre also took the stage with some boxes in his arms. Inside each box was a badge of honor. There were 7 badges in total.
And now it's time to present our heroes their badges of honor,
Flint continued.
The first badge goes to my younger son, Lucas. When my wife passed initially, he would spend a lot of time crying at her grave. He was scared. But eventually he wiped his tears and put on a brave face. With his newfound determination, he led an effort to save the world. And save the world he did.
Everyone cheered for Lucas as he walked onto the stage to accept his badge from Pierre.
I'm so proud of you, baby!
Nana shouted from the audience. Lucas smiled and blew her a kiss.
Our next badge goes to my older son, Flint announced. Claus.
Claus's eyes widened. Me? He asked in shock. Rosella smiled at him and nodded.
All he wanted to do was avenge her. He did not deserve anything that Porky put him through. But deep down I knew he wouldn't fully submit to Porky's will, not my son. He went against Porky just to make sure Rosella was safe. That in itself was very honorable. And her parents told me he even took her out on a date.
Claus blushed as he got up on stage to receive his award from Pierre.
You snitch!
Claus whispered, pouting. It wasn't me, Pierre told him. Bianca giggled and winked at Claus. Claus sighed. Of course she'd be all chatty about that.
Our next award goes to our dog, Boney.
Flint continued.
Boney carried on and off the battlefield. When Rosella was kidnapped, he was able to sniff out and find her. And taking out an entire steerman gorilla, that's hardcore!
Boney got up on the stage. He sat as Pierre put the badge on his collar. He joined Lucas and Claus, wagging his tail.
Our next badges go to Kumatora and Duster, who both did their part in fighting against the pig masks.
Kumatora and Duster smiled and went up onto the stage to accept their badges from Pierre. If Wes isn't proud of this, then he can fuck off at this point, Kumatora whispered to Duster. Duster laughed and rolled his eyes.
Our next award goes to my wife, Hinawa.
Flint announced.
From giving up her life to protect our children, to even helping them out from beyond the grave, this woman is a miracle, whether she's dead or alive. I'm so honored to be married to this woman, and I'm so thankful that she was given a second chance at life. Which leads us to our final badge.
Hinawa accepted her badge from Pierre and stood next to Flint.
Our final badge goes to Rosella,
Flint said, smiling.
Rosella and her parents have always been very important to our family. But through her unwavering kindness, patience, and determination, Rosella was able to see through Claus's mask and get through to his heart. And with her wish, she brought so much joy back to the world.
Rosella got up and accepted her badge from Pierre. Bianca took pictures of everyone with their badges of honor. Let's give it up for our heroes, Flint said, handing the mic to Pierre as the crowd cheered. And I have some good news, he said. We're staying in Tasmilly. This only made the audience cheer louder. Rosella teared up as she heard the news. Rosella cried as she hugged her father. Pierre smiled and hugged Rosella back. After the sentimental part of the block party came to a close, the entire neighborhood went ham and had a great time. Duster and the rest of DCMC provided live music. Lucas and Nana were on the dance floor. Kumatora was high as a kite, and Boney was running around and eating to his heart's content. The party eventually got to a bit too much. The party eventually got to be a bit too much for Rosella. Let me change that. Got to. There we go. The party eventually got to be a bit too much for Rosella, so she snuck off somewhere. Claus noticed her leaving and decided to follow her. I'm gonna change the grotto line because Lucas also knows about that grotto. Back. Yeah, forgive me, this part's gonna take a little while. Unfortunately, some of the keys on my keyboard are fuck all. There we go. Anyways, Rosella made her way back to the grotto, standing there and looking up at the moon and stars. How did I know you were going to be here? Claus called out to her. Rosella turned to face him when she heard his voice. She said, beaming at him. You okay? He asked as he stood next to Rosella.
Fine.
Rosella answered.
I just needed a break from the crowd.
Yeah, I getcha, Claus hummed, looking up at the stars with her. When was the last time we snuck off to this spot?
About 3.5 years, I think.
I'm gonna fix that too because fuck me running. Because brain is doing things. Okay. Back to where I was. When was the last time we snuck off to the spot?
About 3.5 years ago, I think.
Rosella answered. Damn. Klaus sighed, enjoying the time alone he was getting with his crush right now. He took his hand in hers and rested his head on her shoulder. Rosella smiled and rested her head on his. After a couple of minutes of soothing silence, Klaus steeled his courage. Rose? He turned to face her. Rosella hummed curiously as she turned to face him as well. I love you, Rosella Thornton, he said. I've loved you ever since we were kids. Rosella practically glowed when he said that. Her eyes sparkled, her face went red, and she gave him a bright smile.
I love you too,
She answered, tearing up again. Claus smiled up at her before pulling her into a passionate kiss under the moonlight. I've never felt so happy and so alive, Rosella thought to herself. The two eventually broke the kiss.
Promise me you'll never run away again, Claus Lockwood,
Rosella cried. Of course, Rose, Claus answered before kissing her on the lips again. Click! Claus and Rosella broke the kiss and blushed as they saw Bianca holding up her camera. This is going right on the cover of my Clausella scrapbook, Bianca said. Rosella shouted, all flustered. Claus started to laugh. Guess we weren't as slick as we thought, huh? He said, smirking. Rosella smiled and shook her head. When Bianca, Claus, and Rosella rejoined the party, DCMC decided to play a slow dancing song. Bianca danced with Pierre, Flint danced with Hinawa, Lucas danced with Nana, Fuel danced with Angie, and Claus danced with Rosella. The crowd around them let out an "Aww." As the song ended, Rosella put her hands on Claus's cheek. Claus smiled and put his hands on hers.
Finally,
She whispered.
I get to see you smile again. Welcome back, Claus.
Claus closed his eyes as he took in the world around him. He was finally home, safe, and dating the girl he had loved for years. He knew that he would be more than ready for whatever the future would bring him. Now that he had Rosella by his side, he felt unstoppable. The end. So, thank you so much for watching. I want to thank Minxie. I want to personally thank Minxie for a lot, actually. She's the reason I start she's basically the reason why this pairing exists. For context, this started out as a role play scenario, and after 4 years of thinking about after 4 years of and one outdated fan fiction that is on my it's on the Wattpad with my dead name account. I don't use that Wattpad anymore. Don't check out that version, it's bad. But think what started out as a roleplay scenario after about 5 years finally became an actual fanfic. Is it good? Well, I'll leave that up to you guys. I'm just glad I was able to put it out there. And stay tuned for some of my other passion projects. One of them is gonna be Beauty and the Beans. It's basically Bride of Discord meets Rose-Tinted Memories. So I still have to finish scripting it, but soon I will be holding auditions for some of the characters. If you would like to try your hand at singing or voice acting, feel free to audition when those auditions are being held. Um I would also like to thank Jeff, the pastor that I have read the story to. He uh context I the apartment complex I live in the apartment complex I currently live in, it's kind of run by a church. It's an apartment for artists and it's run by a church. And sometimes the church pastors will come by and like offer like basically there's this whole rule like since I'm like a section 8 tenant because of autism perks, we basically we basically have this whole like reward system in place, and every time we come down and talk to the people, we get these little like raffle tickets that we can we can win like $100 gift cards. And then we also get like another set of like tickets that we can like exchange for like prizes and stuff. I basically use my time with Jeff just to read that to him. I'm sure he's going to be very excited tomorrow cuz I think he's coming in tomorrow, so I'll get to read this to him personally tomorrow, so that'll be cool. And I want to thank Azura for coming in to watch this to vibe I mean, she's probably like asleep right now, but I want to thank her. And I want to thank everyone who was active in the chat as well. The troll, thank you for being silly goofy. Cursed Barney, always a pleasure to have you. And that's it.